will be going to the first place team who's able to get the most points after all 3 of these super weekends. And then there's also, of course, the weekly bonuses, the participation bonus, then the finals, plus the MVP. There's so much money on the line here. So I can only imagine how some of these teams are feeling if they're struggling to get into those top spots.
They got to be stressed, right? Like you said, it's a lot of money on the line. And not only is there a lot of money on the line here in West, it's a lot of money on the line in East. If you guys haven't been watching the show that's been going down there, a nice little clip for you to kind of sum up how I guess the entire week has gone for them. Let's take a look. I mean, we could talk over this all day, but I just want to enjoy this gloriousness of Lewis just climbing straight up a wall here on Miramar in their first game of the day.
Wait. Yo, Tim the Tatman would be happy about that.
I mean, I think this is straight up mountain goating right now. And the best part is, if you guys didn't see that live, you can head over to Esports PUBG and actually listen to Blank and John's reaction while casting that. And I can tell you right now, it's a lot of whats and a lot of questions of what the heck was going on. But you know what? That was the show. You guys can check that out. That was before the show starting today, or you can just check out the VODs. But we're focused now on West and West only today as we take a look at the overall standings right now of how the Super Weekend has gone from last weekend and through the first 2 days of our second Super Weekend. And we can see here, Loops Esports maintaining that #1 position, 7.
Yeah, I think they were actually able to go ahead and pass yesterday, Cloud9. We saw a little bit back and forth between the both, but as we mentioned, Loops Esports has been taking just full advantage of the kill points with 167 points. And look how Cloud9 only has 121, but they do have more placement points. So if Cloud9 is able to step it up, I know they're one of those passive teams, is they're able to just improve on their kills, they're going to go ahead and propel to that first place. And as we've been mentioning, you want to go ahead and end up being first place, because guess what? That's going to be $50,000 that you're going to be able to win at the end of Super Weekend number 3. And then some of the other teams that we're seeing here, Footballers has been very consistent. I love seeing them there in 3rd place. Pittsburgh Knights, that's going to be an interesting topic in a little bit. And then we have a Temple Storm. Glitter, we always mention how Temple Storm is kind of quiet, but they've just been putting performances after performances.
It's Temple Storm here in Poland right now, I'll tell you that.
You know, it's probably nice and soothing though, Jason, but Tempo Storm has definitely been one of those teams that has been a little bit quieter, but they've just been consistent enough, right? They've been getting just enough kills to keep themselves in that top 5 position, and then dropping down to that list. You see Team Unique actually holding on to 10th place. And then moving on to the second page here, Konita Power did start picking it up a little bit, but it's just not enough yet to break into that top 10 position. And then we're looking at the likes of Nova Esports, Team Umbra, Yala Esports. These are all squads that have needed to pick it up and have started to actually be successful in some more aggression. It's been working out for them, and then SWAT69 was the only new team that we saw coming in here to our second Super Weekend, and they are currently trying to close that gap between themselves and UDR Killers.
One team I do want to talk about really quickly, just for the sake of mentioning them, not as if we don't talk about them enough, is Loops Esports, because we saw them in the first Super Weekend, right? 0 chicken dinners. They were in 3rd place. They were already a scary team then. They had so many kills. But now in this week, they've gotten 3 chicken dinners. They've jumped up to 1st place. This team is looking deadly, 7. And if I was anyone else out there trying to gun for that #1 position, or even for the 1st place going into the league finals, that's a tough team to beat.
Yeah, and that's something that we kind of touch on throughout the whole weekend, and then being able to get 3 wins so far this Super Weekend. We're still having a full day of gameplay left. It is definitely a scary team. I just want to go ahead and see them control their aggression a little bit. Something that we've seen out of them that just hasn't been as consistent is sometimes they do end up getting kicked in 13th place, maybe 14th place, and I think we saw them once in 16th place as well with 0 kills. So just being able to control that aggression a little bit more, if they can get more placement points, oh man, this is just such a scary team with already the firepower that they have in Carrillo, Dadin, and all the other players.
Yeah, and you talk about like adapting styles, maybe pulling the aggression back. One team we haven't talked about with adapting styles is Nova Esports. Glitter. We talked to them. We talked to GFan in an interview talking about how they switched things up from league play into the Super Weekend here, and it's been working out so well for them.
It most certainly has been working out for them, and I'm glad that this is a team we get to touch on again. So specifically, Nova Esports is a team that we were kind of waiting to wake up, right? They were really struggling just generally at having any super strong games. Now, yesterday, they ended up having 23 kills overall compared to only 8 on Friday, which is a huge jump already. And that's not even taking into consideration their performance on the previous Super Weekend. Their best kill game prior to that was 21 kills on day 3. and that was with a 12-kill second-place game. So this was also their first chicken dinner that they were able to pull down yesterday, and this is a massive change that we've seen so far coming out of them 7.
Yeah, and something that I really enjoyed about the team was they ended up getting a win yesterday, and this is something I was actually talking with C-Fan. I was telling him, hey, I know you told us that you were going to be a little bit more passive. I'm seeing more aggressive out of you guys, and you guys seem to be performing really well when you actually become aggressive, kind of giving me flashbacks to what I saw from them going back to PMWL Americas. And he told me that the reason why they were being so aggressive at times was because of that win. He gave them that extra confidence boost. So I'm wondering if that's going to go ahead and translate to today as well. We're going to go ahead and see that confidence. We're going to maybe go ahead and see more aggressiveness out of them as we are going to go ahead and see the player stats, because that's something to go ahead and keep an eye on. How are you going to be switching those gameplays from day to day as we go here to their stats? And easy, I think one player to go ahead and mention out, even though he doesn't have the most amount of kills, he has sit out a couple of games, but guess what? He's still able to go ahead and output 6,000 damage. That is huge for a support player, considering he missed yesterday. He wasn't able to play yesterday because he was subbed out, and that was their best day. So I think overall, everybody, this team, we know they're capable of so much, Glitter, and if everything starts falling in place, if they stick to just one game plan and also they get confident, it's definitely a team to go ahead and look out for.
Absolutely. The fact that you have the other 3 players almost identical in damage right at that 10K mark is really speaking to the consistency that they're working on after they've changed up their strategy. They have managed to do very, very well, especially in situations where they have some of their players knocked out. I had asked G-Fan what it's like kind of having that pressure on your shoulders when you are the last player alive and you have to snake for points for your team. The game that they won, there was only 2 players left for their squad, and G-Fan was one of them. They have been working very well with limited resources, so I'm excited to see what they can do in a situation where they potentially have a full squad at their disposal.
Yeah, and we can actually even see a little bit further on into the stats of the team and kind of compare themselves from their first day to their second day. We can already see such a massive difference when it comes to damage alone, 7. Ooh.
Yeah, and what is that? Almost double the damage that they went in here to put out on the first day. That's just insane. And you see they're getting into more fights because they're having to go ahead and get more damage received. So they're going to have to heal even a lot more. But something that I love and something that I always preach about is can teams carry momentum over. If you get the win, or maybe if you can carry over the confidence. And guess what? They were doing that so well yesterday. And I'm hoping they're able to do that today as well. As they were able to, they ended up with 25 knocks and pretty much achieved 23 kills. I think that's huge, and that's just such a big step up from what we saw in the first day of this Super Weekend that I'm so excited to see what that team is going to be able to do here today, Jason.
The thing is, that consistency is going to be really hard to maintain when you're playing against the caliber of teams that we have. We talk about our top 4 right now of who we have. We got Loops in there, we got Cloud9 in there, we got Footballs in there, we got Pittsburgh Knights in there. These teams, at least I'd say the first 3, Pittsburgh Knights has slowly started to come into their own, have been so consistent at putting up big numbers where it matters here that I'm a little bit worried for teams like Nova if they can't, compete against the likes of the big dogs right now.
Yeah, and it's something you have to stay super consistent. That's something we have not seen out of Nova, and we have seen out of this 4 teams that we're currently seeing on the screen, especially Cloud9. Cloud9 has always been consistent at staying alive towards the end of the game. Footballers is always consistent at least getting over 5 kills a game. And then Loops Esports, I mean, if they go on a tear, they're going to probably end up winning and then just get a bunch of kills too. Pittsburgh Knights is one of those teams that I'm going to be looking to see how they adapt, as Sixless is not going to be able to play the remainder of the 2020 PUBG Mobile Esports season. So I want to see how that team is going to adapt losing a player of that caliber, because remember yesterday he was able to go ahead and clutch it for them. Even on the first game he was able to get them a couple points in kills and also in placement points. Something I do want to go ahead and point out from Pittsburgh Knights that I ended up pointing out yesterday was Carnage. I feel like Carnage needs to go ahead and step it up. He needs to go ahead and find his rhythm again, because they need to have that firepower from him. And yesterday I saw him scouting a little bit too much and getting caught off guard. So I hope they do adjust to that. And then with Loops, I feel like Loops is maybe that team that can maybe get 3 wins in a row. I want to see it at some point this Super Weekend, Glitter. Hopefully Loops can make it happen, if not Cloud9.
Oh yeah, I feel like when we look at all 4 of these teams, you see almost 2 different play styles kind of separating the 4 teams. You see Loops and Footballs being super aggressive with their play style, really strong with nades, and sometimes that aggression kind of just bite them in the butt a little bit, because we've seen them have some games where they struggle, and then some games where their kills are just off the charts, and it's worked out super well for them. And then you see Cloud9 and PK that are a little bit smarter, a little bit more safe with their gameplay, and they focus a little bit more on those placement points, and that consistency has really helped to kind of keep them in the position that they're in at the top of the leaderboard. Now, we did see Pittsburgh Knights specifically pick it up a little bit, starting to get more kills and feel more comfortable with themselves, so I'm interested to see how they handle this roster change. However, all 4 of these teams are very, very strong across the board with what they've needed to do, whether it was getting those kill points or getting those placement points, and that's why they are where they are.
Well, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with PK in particular, considering they were just finally meshing together as a team, right? We talked about them getting their reps in, getting accustomed to playing with each other as they're set forward, now having to swap a player around. I'm not sure that's going to affect them in the long run when we do get into our games today, but they're already looking pretty confident to making the finals, so maybe they can work on that consistency now with their new 4 over these next few weeks. But we've been talking about teams. We got to start talking about individual players, right? We took a look at the top 2 players from West up against the top 2 players from East, and we kind of made, fun enough, a little bit of a dream team here, actually. We had Carrillo coming in big as the MVP from the first Super Weekend, Adder, who was topping the kills originally, and then we have G9 and Luxy. We talked about G9 yesterday, but Luxy is someone we haven't mentioned too much here, Glitter. Half of the pair of the twins of Luxy and Zuxy.
And I think, at least I know, I was surprised at first that he hadn't done a little bit higher kills than G9, just because, like you said, such a powerhouse with his brother. But across the board, if you're looking at all 3 of these players, the fact that we've got 2 coming out of East, 2 coming out of West, these numbers are absolutely insane, period. The damage is so high. The kills is so high. And what's even weirder is how consistent across the board it is for all 4 players. They're all within pretty much, 1,000 damage received of each other, and their kills are no more than 10 spread across all 4 of them apart. That's just insane to me, Seven.
Yeah, and honestly, from seeing G9 before, from seeing Luxy before, I'm not surprised. I'm honestly not surprised at all that they're currently there. I am surprised by some of the performances I've seen coming out of the West League, which is pretty much going to be Carrillo. Carrillo has shut up on the scene. This is one player that, honestly, as someone who has followed PUBG Mobile Esports for a very long time, I had never heard of this kid before, and he has just stormed it. He has absolutely destroyed, even when his team is not doing good. And Adder, a player that used to play in Europe, now playing with the North American team, I think that is just such a huge change, and something that I love to see with the potential of that fragging power, and with the smarts of Beowulf being the IGL for Cloud9. Everything is just working out their way, and I am gonna go ahead and take a little bit of credit. That is my dream team right there. So for everybody currently watching, please send us, who do you think is gonna go ahead and be your dream team? Let us know right now in the comments, whether you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or if not, go ahead and send it to Twitter at Esports PUBG Mobile. Send us, who do you think is gonna be your dream team, and maybe you'll get a shout out.
I'm trying to think, who would my dream team be? And I think I'm already looking at it. I got Seven and Glitter next to me. I mean, that's already pretty dreamy as it is. Let's take a look at our schedule for today's last day of the Super Weekend. We'll be seeing the exact same 5 maps in the exact same order as well, starting things off on Erangel and ending things off on Erangel as well. As we move into our first game of the day, I really am kind of thinking back to who could be one of the top performing teams in this match. Again, SWAT69, a team we have to really focus on. They're currently sitting 59 points behind UDR Killers, who's not even playing in the Super Weekend. So my eyes are turning towards them as being a team that definitely needs to step up if they want to have a chance. Because not only do they have to close this gap, they have to hope that they re-qualify and UDR Killers doesn't if they want to have a chance to make it into the league finals, Glitter.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be definitely hard for them. We've seen over the past couple days that they've been very consistent, but it just wasn't enough points overall with that consistency. We were seeing them get, 2 to 3 points every single game, but it wasn't what they needed to average out if they wanted to close that gap with UDR Killers at the point threshold you were talking about, right? So today they are, 60?
34 points and they need 59 to catch up.
Okay, right, yeah, so they're 60 points away from where UDR Killers is, right? So they need to have, if they only have 5 games today, that's a lot of pressure to catch up. So what do you do, right? We did see them start to take those engagements. We saw them have a fight with Loops where they did take out Loops. We saw them take on some of the stronger teams, and because of that, it potentially boosts their confidence a little bit if they can just continue to do the exact same aggressive playstyle today.
Well, speaking about aggressive playstyle, someone we haven't talked about yet today, that we did talk about quite a bit yesterday, Kanina Power. This team has been very quiet up until, the second day of the opening weekend, and then yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was the day before, where they started to really show up in the first day of the second Super Weekend. But since then, they've gone quiet yet again. I mean, the thing is, they're going to be through the finals. There's no way they can drop out of top 16, so it's not that big of a deal. But from a team that we saw be so strong in the beginning, 7, I was hoping we would see that strength continue on like we've seen out of Loops, like we've seen out of Cloud9.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that is just very consistent at being inconsistent for me. For some reason, this team can get very hot. I think in the first day of this Super Weekend, they ended up getting back-to-back 11-kill games, which that was huge for them. For a second there, we're saying, oh, wow, it's going to power back. And we even saw a player go ahead and just whip out a Car 98 and absolutely destroy somebody without even having to aim. Just a nasty no-scope. So we thought they were maybe getting that swagger back. We thought maybe they were getting that power back, and then yesterday things just weren't going their way. They just haven't been really consistent at all, and there's something I want to go ahead and see more out of that team. Maybe don't try to go for just the big kill games. Maybe don't try to go for like that first place. Just try to get into a rhythm where you can at least get yourself into the halfway mark, maybe like a 7th place or something like that. And then once you start getting that consistently, then guess what? Then you can go ahead and step it up your aggression. You can see what works, you can see what doesn't work. But I want to see a lot more from this team, especially because the way it's looking, they're probably going to end up making it to the league finals after all this is done, and I think that'll be just such a scary team if they are actually able to be consistent with their placement and also their kills.
By the way, I went back and looked at that clip about the car play that he pulled off, the Car 98. He was out of ammo in his primary. So he actually switched over to it and he had to go for the shots. And he hit them, so you can't really argue with him too much. Again, another team I want to talk about, another 2 teams I guess we should talk about is, of course, Loops and Cloud9. Again, they're obviously number 1 and number 2 on the table. But these 2 teams in particular have been battling it out when it's come to this second Super Weekend so consistently, whether it's in the late game or in the early game. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Glitter, about if you're at the top like this, they definitely don't need to show any more depth in their strategy because what they're doing right now is working. However, do they prepare now for the future of something of their style being figured out or their style not working? Do they try to like play some things out here the next few days to kind of maybe have some backup plans?
It's definitely something that they will probably have started thinking about already, because moving forward, like you said, they clearly don't need to make too many changes to what they've been doing because it's already been so successful. But there is the concern of, you know, almost people kind of having so many opportunities to play against them that they figure out their play style almost too well. Right now, we see that Loops is almost 40 kills above Cloud9. So obviously, like I said before, Loops is one of those aggressive teams, right? But Cloud9, I think, has consistently had higher placement points than Loops. So Cloud9's been more consistent across the board when it comes to that. And we've said many times, if Cloud9's up with 4 members past that mid-game stage, they are so scary. They make smart rotations.
Like yesterday, because that happened.
But it's true. Like, minus your bad luck, as long as they're up with their whole squad, they do incredibly well. They're so smart. But we have seen, and it's been very entertaining now, we've seen quite a few times Loops and Cloud9 run into each other in game and have to kind of take that fight head to head. And it hasn't necessarily always worked out in Cloud9's favor, 7.
Yeah, and something I want to see is teams taking note of that. I want to see if teams are ever going to go ahead and try to third-party that, because something you want to go ahead and do with those teams, especially when they're hurting, hey, take full advantage of it. If you can maybe go ahead and knock even one player down more and finish him off, that's another player from Cloud9 or Loops Esports that you're not going to have to worry about towards the end of the match. And that's already a huge advantage for your team. But that can also backfire because these teams have just been so good at being able to recover from when they're down. Something that we have seen Loops Esports do so well is if they're down 3 players and 1 player still alive, you're not counting them out. You're saying, oh, they can probably reset from this. And when I say reset, they can probably get all their players back up and then just readjust their game style. And we've seen the exact same thing out of Cloud9. But it is something that I'm going to be looking out more. Maybe they're going to go ahead and get into more engagements. I'm pretty sure Cloud9 is going to be looking to just win more of those engagements and just prepare for what might happen in the league finals, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see more out of these 2 teams in the league finals.
Well, this is fantastic because I've actually lost all audio, so I have no idea what you guys are saying at all. So hopefully my microphone's still working. Hopefully they can still hear you guys as well. So we're just going to go straight into predictions real quick, and I'm going to have to just go off of what I see on the screen, and hopefully you guys don't throw it to each other because, again, I can't hear you. So Glitter, go into our first match. Who is our first? Don't do this to me, 7. Who's our first team that you have predicted?
So this is the same team I predicted every single first Erangel match of the day so far, and I'm sticking with it because they haven't let me down yet, and they finished strong again yesterday, and we're going with Loops.
Okay, my sound came back on randomly. I heard you say Jason is your favorite host ever, and you're picking Loops. So great stuff out of that one. 7, as you're going into your pick here, who do you have?
Wait, Jason, go first. I'm trying to remember which one I picked.
I think you picked. I'm just gonna guess. No, you want Team Queso, so let's get Team Queso up for 7.
Let me double check.
To give us his prediction. My prediction is gonna be Loops as well, because you know what? They got me a chicken dinner yesterday. They start off strong. And 7, you picked Team Queso, right?
No, I didn't. I picked Cloud9. I'm gonna go with Cloud9. They just perform so well for some reason, this team is really consistent on the first game. Every single time. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
I mean, you say that, and then Loops yesterday kind of beat them. So, we'll see how that's going to work out. We'll check with you guys after the match is done.
Peace.
All right, so it's time to talk about something that you guys at home can win. Again, as we do have tons of things being given away over the course of the entire World League. If you're lucky enough, you can get into the lucky draw here and win a limited time outfit as long as you're watching within the game and within the Esports Center. And also at home, if you guys are sitting around watching the show, you can tweet to us at Esports PubGM with the hashtag PMWL. Give us your thoughts about the show, maybe support your teams, and maybe we'll get you on the show as well with a nice little shout out via 7, most likely, since he loves to do the shout outs. Let's bring in our commentators though for our very first game of the day. We got in Virum, we got Cameron Davis going to be joining us, looking handsome as ever, I have to say. In Virum, did you dress up all nicely for me today?
I did. It's definitely not because it's, the final day of the super weekend. The plays are going to be excited. It's for you. It's for you, Jason.
I think so. I believe so. And I hope so. Same for you, Cameron. I can tell. I mean, the way you're looking at me right now on the camera, I can just tell you're like, Jason, please give me attention.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all that I want. It's the only reason that I'm here. Everything that I do is for you, Jason. Please give me attention.
You know what? You're my new number 1. Forget 7. He's aside. I don't give a crap about him anymore. It's all about you. Well, let's talk about our first match. We've been talking about quite a few different teams. Maybe get your guys' opinion coming into Nova Esports here in Virum, since this is a team that have talked openly on the interview about how they're adapting their style, and it's shown that they've improved over these last couple days.
Oh, for sure. I even just think the idea that the team has enough confidence to say, look, we appreciate that what we're doing isn't working, and we just need to change it up. I mean, that takes guts. A lot of teams would just sort of keep grinding and, no, it's not our strategy. It's the other teams that are wrong. But I respect the crap out of it. The fact that the idea that they're going to come into it and say, nah, we need to make a change. We're going to make a change. And clearly, it's an instantaneous response. Yesterday was so much better.
It was so much better. And then we have to look at, maybe Kanita Power or Cameron, because they played well on day 1. Then they started tanking day 2. Again, this is a team, they should be through to the finals. I don't see anyone dethroning them here anytime soon. But we're not seeing the consistency out of them that we were hoping to make them one of these top contenders.
Yeah, 7's comment about them being the most consistently inconsistent team is pretty spot on. And for both Nova and Konina Power, you asked me yesterday, I believe, about the nights, about how long you want to, how late into the event do you want to peak? Konina Power and Nova, the question is, are they going to be peaking too late in terms of actually being a full powerhouse? Yes, they're probably going to qualify, but they obviously want to go for more than just qualifying for the final grand finals.
I thought you were going to be super harsh and be like, are they going to peak at all in this tournament? I thought you were going to go super BM against them.
That is another question.
But look, I want to chime in on that actually, because the idea of the consistently inconsistent, if Konina Power is vying for that title, I think that Tempo Storm is the other team that we need to talk about, because I am such a fan of Tempo, as an organization. I've been casting them for years at this point.
Their manager's a little...
And they are either in first place or they are in 15th place.
Yeah.
I literally looked back when I was going through my pick'ems for today. I was like, who are we gonna? I'm like, Tempo Storm, they have a couple wins, but then I looked, it's either a win or it's 15th place. So they're another team that I think needs to not vie for that number 1 spot with Konina Power. They need to try and be a little more consistent.
Well, I mean, you're talking about Tempo, and we actually had Kalaris, guys, my recognition from the East League or from PMPL Americas, who actually got to sit down with them and ask them a few questions about this whole event.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kyle Laris. I am one of your hosts of the PMWL, and I have with me HH24 from Tempo Storm. So thank you very much for joining me to start things off. And my first question is, why don't you introduce yourself to the world as well as your role within Tempo Storm?
Hello, I am from Tempo Storm. My name is HH24. I am a co-agile, fragger, scout. I can basically just do anything as a role. I like to achieve of top fragging in tournaments. I try to do my best.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we saw a lot of that in PMPL Americas, and it was exciting to watch you guys throughout that. The next question I want to ask you guys is, how did you first get introduced to PUBG Mobile?
Oh, I got introduced from my friends. I was playing Knives Out as another Battle Royale for mobile. My friends wanted to make a team, so I came through. It was very entertaining, so I just stayed. And I see a lot of goals of players, so I continued and I wanted to achieve those goals.
Which team would you consider as one of your biggest rivals throughout the PMWL?
The biggest rival is all of them, because we shouldn't really be judging who's best or who's the scariest, because we can just die from any, to be honest.
Do you feel that a lobby on a world scale can be a little bit unpredictable sometimes? You obviously you have scrims with them, but does it get a little bit more hectic in these kinds of lobbies?
We try to stay calm, so yeah, it still does. Still pressure, but we try to stay calm and concentrate.
All right. Well, that's all the questions. So thank you very much, HH24, for joining us, and best of luck in the World League.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, HH24, we got to talk to him there in that video. We also got to talk to him on the show as well, talking about how he's been having some internet problems, how he's having some tough time when it comes to being able to play consistently. I'm looking at you, Adverum, don't worry. And hopefully they've been able to fix a couple of their problems coming into this, because they have been performing, I'd say, a little bit better. But this isn't necessarily maybe the tempo that we wanted to see. We want to see more consistent and more of a stronger team overall, especially in the opening weekend, right? We talked about Tenza so much about being such a heavy fragger, but he's fallen off since then.
Yeah, Big Daddy Tensa, you know, the name doesn't come accidentally. He has been such a force in the NA PUBG mobile scene for so long. Just always one of these top fraggers who shows up and can go clutch. And I know that's something that Hot Jukes has talked about a lot, the idea of the clutch factor. The player who can just stare down an impossible situation and come out the other side on top. And I feel like we're going to need to see more of that here. And just the idea that, especially, you know, even if they make it to the finals, either being first place or last place isn't going to get you to the win. You need to be consistently like top 4. That really needs to be the sweet spot if you actually want to become the PMWL West champion. So that's kind of what I need to see more from them. Less ones or zeros, more just wins.
I feel like Go ahead.
No, because we are criticizing Tempo Storm for being inconsistent, but at the same time, they are in 4th place. They do still have those games that they're able to get like a good number of kills, even if they do go out quite early. They're not a team like, I don't know, wild card that like we had expectations and then are closer towards the bottom of the leaderboard more often than not. But it's true. They do need to find just that one final piece to get to that next level, whether it is consistency or just having more wins, because even the most winningest teams in Cloud9 and Loops, they do go out in 15th or 16th every once in a while.
I swear I could hear a glitter in my headset saying, whoa, 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 when you start talking about wild card there. But let's maybe start to get in predictions, because I think we're about a few minutes out till we do kick off this first match. And I'm going to start with you, Cameron, because you know what? You're looking handsome today. I mean, you're both looking pretty handsome, but I'm going to give it to you this time of who you think. I'm sorry, Viram, don't worry. I'm still here with you. Of who's going to take the first match and why.
Sorry, I got to get back into it. I didn't hear anything you said after you said handsome, but I tried to be cute yesterday and saving Cloud9 for the very end just because they didn't look super strong towards the end of the first day and ended up really biting me. So I have to open up with them. Cloud9 are so bad on the final game, and those are the only 2 Erangel matches, is either game 1 or game 5. It's the best play. It's the best play. Cloud9 game 1 all the time.
I'm so glad you picked Cloud9, because I'm feeling more confident in my Loops pick. And Veer, I think it was your choice.
Don't feel confident for long, because I'm right there with you, Jason. Loops Esports, let's go.
Oh, man, I thought you were going to go Cloud9. What happened?
Normally I do. I'm changing it up a little bit today because they've done well. They have done super well, but they haven't like won a game 1 in a while. And Loops has. And Loops has been like really stepping up the last couple of days. We saw the epic 1v1 conclusion on Vikendi on day 1, C9 and Loops. They keep running into each other. Loops tends to get the better of those exchanges, so I'm going to go Loops today.
I'm sensing a little tension now between you two when it comes to casting. Let's kick off our first match. So I want you, gentlemen, take us into game 1 here of our last day of our second Super Weekend.
Thank you so much, Jason. Let's get things started. Let's get this underway. The players are ready, and so am I. I'm ready to get into this. We've been like chilling. We had rehearsal. I had my cup of coffee. I've got I'm like ready to go, man. I'm ready. I hope these players are ready. I hope you're ready to go.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready. I'm rolling. I am 100% keyed in, and I just hope that Cloud9 are as well. That sort of Cloud9 Loops rivalry, not just in the game, but also on our prediction charts, is a very interesting one, because I'll admit, Loops let me down in a big way on Vikendi yesterday. Vikendi is their map. They're usually so good on it. Win or not, they pick up a fair number of kills whenever they play there, except for yesterday's Vikendi game. So we'll see if they perform badly on game 2 of the day as well. I'm going to take that title of Vikendi Masters away from them. But I'm still for the final day. I'm saving Loops for Vikendi. I have to.
I'm actually swapping up. I'm actually going to go with C9 on Vikendi. Oddly enough, weirdly enough, though, as you say, Loops is just so fantastic on it. I'm just going to try and mix it up today a little bit, because this is getting exciting. You know, we're now starting to get so much personality out of these teams. We're now finally starting to like really be able to, especially as casters, there's this idea that we can just like start to derive, again, a personality from the plays and from the players as they go along. Now that we've seen so much of them here in this group on the world stage, I think we're really starting to see that. And so then for us, it's fun, because then we get to start making some other fun decisions, like, well, what if they're over here, and how are they going to respond to this? And that's where this gets exciting. But let's talk about game number 1. Let's talk about Erangel. This plane path, not the least friendly we've ever seen.
No.
But if this is a north shift circle, oh, it's going to be traffic.
I'm not even worried about that. I'm more worried about the south shift circle, because I feel I gave Wildcard a little bit of shade. I should probably give them a little bit of love in return in my own special way. They are consistently, I feel, on the back foot when they're coming in late. And so, yes, they have to drive all the way up to Severny, and this circle is actually pretty good for them, because they can hopefully quickly find vehicles around Rozhok, where they're landing just east of it, where all these roads cross together, drive up to Severny, loot up super quickly, and then find a place on the hill just south of shooting range. My question is, though, could they might want to consider for future games, for future events, of finding a different loot spot on Erangel. But Acer, this is a good start. Grabbing a little bit of DMR, can't quite get the full knock, but he has a second chance, and he has teammates that all have guns. This is awful for Alpha Legends.
Okay, Drops finds a mini with a scope and an AKM.
They don't get a knock.
And they don't. Well, I mean, that just would have put him out of the sky. That just would have been a terrible start for Alpha. They were just given. Alpha Legends was just given a gift. And you know how you're talking about you were going to give Wildcard some love? Maybe don't now, because they. I know those are hard shots to hit, but you're literally
not that hard.
You're literally one of the best players. Yeah, they were like stacked on top of each other. I think maybe I could have hit one of those, you know, and. I'm not good at shooting in this game, okay? If I'm being fully honest, it's real. The fact that
they
these
had
guys
like 2 or 3 guns.
They did.
Towards the last couple of parachutes.
Yeah. Not ideal. All right, Wildcard, shake that off. If you're Alpha Legends, take a sigh of relief. Get back into this game, drive up to Severny, reset a little bit here. But game number 1 is already off to a start, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's only a couple of seconds, but Wildcard didn't get anything out of just stalling, taking those shots, and that's only going to slow down their loot rotation a little bit. It's these things, they add up. We talked about the other day, a 1 second, 2 second tier can really add up and change an entire game for a team. And when Wildcard, they really need, I think, to feel comfortable in a game to be center, to not come in late, and this is the perfect circle for them from their loot position. What's not good, though, is for B4. However, this is a team that is used to coming in late as well, and they don't seem to be tripped up about it, because they look for opportunities to take those aggressive fights. They're not like Loops, where they will every single time choose, despite having an entrance to the center, pick closer towards the edge in order to farm kills. But I mean, come on, they have, both those teams do still have similar play styles, and they will both go for kills when they find the opportunity.
Oh, for sure. And I think it's interesting that the two teams who tend to like to eat the blue and light rotate are Footballists and B4, and they're the ones who have dropped down around military and in Novo. So I think they're going to be fine to wait a little bit longer. Konina Power, potentially SWAT 69 or Nova respectively could play gatekeeper on the other side of the bridge, but I don't think that's going to be a huge factor. But a team, I called them out a little bit. I know it's because, and again, if I call out a team, it's because I have high expectations because I know these guys are stars. Tempo, of course, just chilling at Pachinki. This is their spot. Nobody contests it anymore because they know that if you fight Tempo early here, 9 times out of 10, Tempo is going to win that fight. They have taken so many of those over the course of scrims. Teams trying to hot drop them, teams trying to get a little cheeky, that they win those almost always. So they're going to be in a great spot for this next circle, and we'll see if they can continue to have some success in Pachinki if the circle rotates there, or just have some success today. Because again, they're in 4th place, but they could be doing better.
Footballers right now, this is a very interesting decision that a team would have to make because they actually landed on their loot spot before anyone else, just looking at where their playing path was, where they're looting up in Novo, and so they could actually begin. I'm assuming that they're looted up enough to begin to move now. The problem is they're not going to have, even if they move faster than anyone else, they have to move a further distance. They're not going to have priority in the center of the circle at all. So do you really just want to squeeze out Novo like a sponge, grab every single piece of loot that you can? Because in a way, if they move too fast, they also could come into contact with a team in Milta, which is going to be Konina Power. It's these sort of things that you have to have in the back of your mind. But yes, loops. This is a great spot for them to take. The cube compound is a great spot to just hold teams out, try and catch people on rotation, and that's what the Knights are doing as well. Yeah, Pittsburgh Knights. We've been kind of quiet about them so far. I didn't really get a chance to talk about them much going into the day. Of course, they're going to be playing with Jagger. Again, another player we have a lot of experience commentating. He's been a part of this roster forever. One of the OG members of Pittsburgh Knights joining us here on the world stage. And let's see if PK, I mean, they've been one of these teams, again, that's sort of like, where does a team peak over the course of this? They were starting to get things together. We'll see if they can continue to keep that forward momentum, even with making a roster shift. So definitely need to keep my eye on them for sure. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation for them. It's almost like they just got their feet under them, it feels like. They just finally got the chemistry all aligned. And then a roster change happens. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. I'm not going to... I think they definitely have the potential. I actually think that Jagger, in his own right, is a really stellar player. I think he's maybe not as flashy as others, but is definitely really a little more consistent. He still hits his shots, and he's an OG when it comes to this PK roster. So I think that having that familiar presence on the team is not like they're bringing in somebody totally different.
Yeah,
I think it's still going to be a stabilizing factor for them here. But I just really need to see Carnage step up for that squad. I mean, it's so like, he's a big guy, but he's got this quiet, calm personality. When you talk to him in real life, he's just such a nice guy. I need to see him be big and loud here on the map. I need to see him make that presence felt. And somebody who's feeling a little bit of a presence now is Yala Esports, taking some shots from Team Umbra. Umbra, you had a bit of an awakening yesterday, Cameron. They were just looking for fights. It was great to see.
I mean, that's the first thing that you need to do when you're a team that's struggling. You can't, if points aren't coming to you by just your regular gameplay, you got to go out looking for them, and that's what they're doing right now. It's a full surround onto Zana, and Yala once again in a really, really rough situation. I feel like we see this all the time. A good nade's going to finish him off, but I don't think the rest of Yala is going to be in any situation to punish Umbra for this push. I'm looking at where they are on the map. They're just to the east of this position. They're too far away, though. I just don't think the sightlines are there. What? Oh, it was a smoke. I thought that was a grenade. Okay, the shots are coming in.
He's setting up the smoke so that he can loot him. But he's
the shots. Okay, so Yala were able to find a sight line. The shots are there. It's going to be too risky. I wouldn't loot up just one box for this. And yeah, you can see Zero's specific angle that he's holding right now.
They're making a lot of noise, and you can see Tempo Storm off on the angle as well. So they may look to third party on this, but Yala Esports losing to somebody early. Not an ideal situation, and Yala is definitely one of these teams that we need to see do well coming into the day in 15th place, only able to get a handful of kills yesterday. I truly mean a handful, like 10 on the day. Their game number 1 started off well. They had 6 kills, finished in 6th place. We'll see if they can replicate that here on Erangel, but of course, it is going to be so much harder to do with only 3 players.
I like this split by Nova. A little 2-2 split on the north of Pachinki, but more shots coming in from Konina Power. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Football is moving in, and Konina Power didn't move so far into the circle that they have an opportunity for a couple of shots. Luckily, it wasn't a full camp. It was more, those shots looked more shots of opportunity, and football's had more than enough room to move around and get away from that. But the circle is going to center up. It's not going to affect anyone too much. So many teams really aren't going to move at all, but the teams that were maybe hoping that a hardship towards the north would put the north of the river in play, they're going to have to cross through, and this is where Loop's bridge camp comes into play.
That was huge. Ayala is already down, and now Carrillo is continuing to put the pressure in with the DP. Just a hail of fire. And now Mystic is caught out in no man's land. Oh, I can't believe he was able to survive through that. But now Dadine is trying to find an angle and is able to do so with the grenade as well. Such good coordination from Loops. The distraction on one side while the nade goes through, continuing to finish it off. That is 2 kills now for Loops Esports to start this game.
I think there's going to be a third. I don't know if Marco's going to be able to get his way out of this. He has no vehicle. He's on foot. And Wildcard, they crossed in on the left bridge, but Nova, they also have an opportunity. They haven't had to move at all. They're taking advantage of a team that's just pushing in. Dream Eaters, again, not able to find a position. First the Knights, and now Nova.
And you were complimenting Nova's 2-2 split, Cameron. You were talking about how you like this running with this buddy system. I'm a huge fan of it as well, and we're kind of seeing it now. They did bring it together a little bit more, but what's great about this is you're still able to find these off angles, but you're not putting yourself out too far. You have somebody to still back you up. So you work these flanks, work these angles, but not only do you have weight of fire, you also have somebody there to support you, and I'm really liking this decision from Nova Esports, and Dream Eaters is in a rough spot, but the kill feed is starting to light up already here. Game number 1, only 10 minutes in, multiple players have gone down.
There is a little bit of pressure on Nova here to clear out Dream Eaters, because if this position stays in the game for too much later, it could become an issue for them. But for right now, they have more than enough room to take them out, just like Alpha Legends are taking out Footballists. Football is still unable to find a position. I don't know how this fight started, but Rom, he's coming in to try and protect and potentially revive his teammates. But hiding behind a Dacia like this, and his teammates all out in the open, I'm assuming they were shot out of vehicles. Alpha Legends have such a good angle.
Yeah, Old Man looking to continue to confirm this kill. Alpha Legends is pushing in. They were given, again, a bit of a gift at the start of this game. Wildcard not confirming those kills. Let's see what they can do with the gift that was offered them. Kato is way off on the flank, though. We'll see how they opt to play this. And Old Man is finally going to confirm this. But we'll see how far they're willing to push. It actually just seems like the rest of Footballists are just going to try and relocate his realm. Everyone else is leaving as another fight's breaking up. This time it's between Wildcard and Pittsburgh Knights. The action does not stop here in game number 1 for the West. These teams like to scrap, and we're seeing it here as Acer going to look to try and find the nade. Not going to be able to do so. Is cooked well. As Pittsburgh Knights is definitely in a bit of trouble here. Sam and Spring on the flank. Slicky up close. Slicky is one of these players who just hits his shots. I don't care if it's close. I don't care if it's far. He gets it done. And PK, I think they know this because they are just going to run. They have to try and reset this fight, Cameron.
They're bailing, but Raven, once again, is leaving way too late. I feel like he's always a little bit of the slacker in terms of driving away, and he's going to get caught out. No knock just yet. Oh, there it is. J7 does go down as well. There was a bit late of a rotation for the entire team overall. This the pressure from Wildcard's 2 players on the north side. Just they didn't feel comfortable in that fight despite having a man advantage in the close quarters. And here comes Sam and Slicky up close, fully taking this compound away from the Knights. Trying to give it up, but they're going to be wounded. That nade looked good, but not good enough. It's going to be Slicky on the flank.
Oh, man, and this is another time that we see Pittsburgh Knights try desperately, scrambling to get the res, and it costs them so much. More players being thrown into the meat grinder. Carnage, though, the player I called to step up to make his presence felt, actually goes on a wild flank with the vehicle, takes out 1 member of Wildcard. So now Acer's got to try and deal with this. 3 members, though, are down for PK, and I don't think Carnage is going to continue this. No, they are just going to sacrifice these kills on over to Wildcard. They struck back a little bit, but once again, PK's in a situation where 1 player is tasked with staying alive.
Yeah, and it's usually not even Carnage that's in that, so I don't know what to expect of his snaking abilities. As if it's J7 or Raven, I'd have a little more confidence, but he's having to drive through ruins as well onto a medium ship. It's not the best. It's gone from bad to worse for the Knights, but B4 sitting on top, overlooking SWAT 69. Footballists do go down in the meantime.
Oh.
Actually, a good flank from N7R.
Yeah, and that nade, oh my goodness, Levi's got to be careful, but now Pedro is going for a flank of his own. Down towards Squad 69, BRT is taken down. Beautiful shots from Pedro, the man who's always off on his own. Not necessarily somebody I'd vote for in some of these situations, but he's stepping up today. He's trying to win that vote back. And now N7R, the last man standing for SWAT 69, the team that has so much to prove. They barely squeaked into our super weekend, and they need to make more than just a squeak here in these 15 games. They need to be allowed. They need to show up, and this is their opportunity to do it. If they can stabilize here, if they can win against B4 Esports, that would be a huge boost to their morale.
Pedro took way too long to decide if he wanted to revive his teammate or go for the full wipe. And now look, there's multiple players up. Carnage does go down. That's 2 teams out so far. But SWAT 69, the indecision by Pedro gives them a little bit of a lifeline, and they're going to get all 4 players up. Yes, B4, I think, are going to stay as 2. Yeah, okay, so Levi was revived. He was in the process of first aiding right then. And the nades are now coming out, but is it all too late? B4, they see an opportunity to retreat, so they're not going to get the team up. They're not going to get the points. I say that, Pedro. Okay, I'm done. I don't know what they're going to be playing at this point. Are they going to fight? Are they going to leave? Who knows?
I think part of the problem is, Cameron, they don't know. And you talked about the indecision. That's costing them so much here. They have a great angle. It's these steps, these sort of series of ascending rises is going to do a lot for B4 here. And look at the circle. They know they have SWAT 69 pinned. Maybe, just maybe, if they can use this to their advantage, if they can play these angles well, they can find it. But with the smokes going in from SWAT 69, they're trying to create as many possible angles as they can. And now, Pedro, it's sort of a one-man army. Where is his teammate? Okay. Levi is there, and they are finding this. This might actually be a great opportunity for B4. If they can win this 2v4, that would be massive for them. SWAT 69 is pushing and continuing up the hill. They do have the slight angle on the blue, and Pedro needs to hit his shots. There's one down. Can he find Blue Fly? Yes, there's 2. Pedro making up for it earlier. One last shot. Can he do it? Yes, the 2v4. Basically a 1v4 as Pedro goes off. All right, buddy, you get my vote.
Yep, that's it. That's why he let SWAT 69 revive the entire team, because he wanted to make a highlight reel for himself. I get it. Yes. I understand. I get it. We all need those social media interactions. It's part of the industry. They use the blue and the high ground.
I just got to get those impressions. I can't blame the man. Oh, my goodness. Acer. Nerves of steel, Cameron. Oh, my goodness. Become the bush. Become the bush.
But what else can you do?
Nothing.
There's a point in your PUBG playing career that you stop getting nervous in situations like that because there is no other option. It's just full-on euphoria. But yeah, it's not a good position for Wildcard either. It's not a good position for a lot of these teams with this hard shift over towards the northeast, while we see a replay of Pedro really giving it to Task. And you can see that it's not just the high ground that's at his advantage, it's also the blue. I was worried about this shift because both these teams would need to clean up this fight as quickly as possible. But of course, the blue pushing in and actually being inside the blue, dealing that tick damage, made it worse for SWAT 69.
I will laugh so hard if they accidentally run him over with one of these vehicles. Never mind, that's not going to have a chance at all, because the third party is coming in from Loops Esports, and now Yalla, they've just been hearing gunshot upon gunshot from up this hill. They're just wondering what is going on. They're seeing Tempo Storm, they're seeing Wildcard, they're seeing Loops, and they're just staring on going, oh boy, something is happening. And it is, because now that Loops have got that first down, Cameron, what are they doing?
They're pushing. They do what they do best, and this is a great position for them to clean up these kills if they can land the shots. But Loops are the team that I would give it to them 9 times out of 10, maybe even 10. Who knows? Well, that fight against Nova makes me question that a little bit. But nonetheless, they're going for the push. They're going aggressive, and look how open this is. We've criticized this plateau so many times. This sort of, I forget what you call it, the steps, whatever. Doesn't matter. Oh, the overlook. There it is. Loops are pushing in. Spec spots it. There's a player that pushes past. I don't know if Kayowski's going to see him. Yes, he does.
Oh my goodness, Spec getting a little bit cheeky there, letting the one player go by to try and come up with some sick play, but then Kayowski rotates in as well. Now Korea was able to push, but Dream Eater's potentially coming in on the flank as well. Another team might join in on the fray. Dadine though, Dadine playing scout, but taking a lot of damage in the process, giving so much intel over to the team. What a play with the vehicle. The Dacia goes in. He spots out exactly where everyone is, but Dream Eater's coming in on the flank, and Rain, pinpoint accuracy with these grenades, taking a coup from Footballists as Loops Esports, as Dadine's able to pick that one up. Tensa trying to get himself down as well. Actually finds 2. That's another one down. Tensa, Big Daddy Tensa to start the day off well, trying to do something for Tempo Storm here. 1 down, 1 dead. Oh, no!
Yep, that was the worry. The minute I saw Kayowski prep that grenade, I knew that it was up for Tensa. Those shots, yes, he got it down. Yes, he confirmed a kill for an extra point. But now he just gave his position away. And that push by Loops was so beautiful to watch. Communication is so important in this game. And when it's that much action going on. You need to be able to deliver information in a quick, concise way that the rest of your team understands, but more than that, you just have to be on the same wavelength. They all knew what was going on. There was only so much time there for the information to be given over, for the plays to be decided. They just did it by pure instinct.
Yeah, that seems so coordinated. Like Dadine, no hesitation, goes in for the vehicle spin, points out, okay, he's behind that rock and he's over there. He's able to instantly relay that to his team. And now they're continuing to take a fight against C9. Like, they do not stop. They do not slow down. They are a juggernaut on Erangel to start off this game as the rest of these teams are rotating in. This is a bit of a hard shift to the northeast, just southwest of school. And now Alpha Legends has eyes on Konina Power. We'll see if they decide to take the shot.
Alpha Legends, they've been playing this game a little differently from the previous, a lot of the other teams. Part of that is because of their drop position and the way the circles have gone, and they have a little more area to play with, not like the west side, where it's a lot of teams pushing in. Easter, that wipe onto Tensa gave him a little bit of a life raft. A little bit of a floaty, let's call it. It's like the water wings. It's not a full-on, like what are the red and striped little donuts. It's a little bit of a water wing. I say that, I think he's actually getting a little bit of trouble. He gets a knock against Loops, though.
Now C9 does clean him up. That is going to be wildcard eliminated. C9, they had a few players down, but we're continuing to take these fights. Now Konina Power and Alpha Legends, the fight is breaking out here. A lot of these teams in sort of the middle of the pack. Oh, Gonzo! My goodness, just pops right behind that rock, just like the Reaper of Death coming on in. The sickle goes down, and Loops Esports is also eliminated 8th place, despite getting quite a few kills. They just took too many different fights. Got a little bit scared because C9 got the knock, and then they just rotated in too far, didn't get the scouting down. And oh my goodness, not an ideal situation for them. The teams that were able to get in early had a little bit of circle luck, doing so well right now. Team Unique, Alpha Legends, Konina Power, whoever can win this fight now, Cameron, is probably set up to win this entire game.
I worry about Konina Power because Alpha Legends, they only have one direction that they need to look, that they need to protect themselves from. Konina Power, they're kind of in the middle of everything. That is, of course, if Unique can be able to finish out Yala. Yala, who have been able to stay alive in this game for quite a while, despite losing an early player, but how long is that going to last? The nades are coming in, the shots are coming in, and now it's all on to Anas. Is he going to try and revive Zero? The Blues pushing in, too.
And this is not in the next playable zone. Zero's got to try and rotate around. The nades are continuing to fly. Continuing as Anas has got to get in with the smoke. Almost goes down, but lives to fight another day, at least for a few moments longer.
More nades coming out from Unique. It's punished a little bit, but no knock, at least onto the players in the building. And Elise, of course, is bleeding out just on the exterior. And Nova actually going for the aggressive push. It's outside of the circle, but they need to clear out Unique first before they can focus on anything else in the game. And more nades come on through.
This is the Nova Esports we wanted to see. Great coordination, stellar nades. The perfect push. One player sitting back to try and continue to hold the angle, giving intel to the teams that are pushing on in. The players, they're trying to rally. G-Fan on the outside, though. The way he's rotating, he gave up the high ground position. Lightning sitting in the cheeky spot up here on the outside. They do find him, though. They've been there before. They know exactly how that plays out. And Nova Esports lighting up in a way we have never seen them before. Team Unique is down, and now they have that compound. They're looking to be in a pretty darn good spot.
When I said that Alpha Legends had the advantage in this fight against Konina, that was only for the previous circle. Now that the circle has shifted away from both of them, it's all on them to move forward, and they've lost 2 players. Konina Power still have 4 up. That is, they can revive Gonzo. A good grenade leaves it all up to Shay, so he's going to go for the revive, and he has enough time to do so. But is Tixie going to punish?
That is the big question. Tixie, of course, being one of these top fraggers for this squad.
Oh no, it was a heal strat.
Yep. Oh, they're just going to commit through. But the nades from Nova. Oh, my goodness. They do not stop. Anas looking to try and get involved, but I think he's actually giving... I don't even think they realized anybody was out there. Unless they'd already took shots at him before, he might have actually been able to survive a little bit longer, Cameron. I'm not sure if I love this decision from him. He's just one player.
It's a lot. He's got to move forward. I do agree, though. It's the same situation that we saw with Easter from Wildcard, who even actually got a kill onto Loops because Loops had no idea. But Anas prepping the grenade. He knows where HCL is. I think it was cooked well, but it does land well. Doesn't get the knock, unfortunately. And is he gonna resign himself to heal stratting the same way that Alpha Legends were?
I don't think he's got a ton of a choice here. I think the second that nade went off, I probably would have pushed on the back of it, tried to force him out to the left, maybe try and get a shot of my own. through that. The bounce is not going to go over the wall. G-Fan is there. They've pinned him, and he's just going to deny to the blue. Not a bad decision there. All in all. Again, maybe could have played that a little bit slower, unless Nova had already taken the shot. We don't have all the intel on that one. Maybe that was the best decision he could have made. In either case, he got Yala Esports to 4th place.
Now it's all between Konita Power and Nova and how long Pyra can stay alive. Konita Power do have the high ground.
I cannot believe Pyra's still in this. They lost Bayos early. They lost
that's the thing.
early.
So Konita Power have the high ground, but they have very little cover compared to Nova, and they do have Pyra right next to them, who, again, like Acer from Wildcard, like a Nos from Yala, could be a complete, just a knife in the side of Konita Power. He already gets one.
Ooh, I think that outstretched arm actually got tagged by one of those shots, but they're going to know he's there now. And Rob taking a bit of damage. Pyra deciding he wants to thirst that kill. Getting involved. This is great. If you're a fan of Nova Esports. Oh, but they do take him down. Pyra survives. Get another point. Gets those placements. Cloud9, game number 1. Cameron, you called it. They are always impressive.
Yeah, they're always impressive on Erangel unless it's the last game, because I think at that point, they're tired, they're sleepy, they got stuff to do.
Mm-hmm. You're just they're still long. Eventually, you're just like, it's game number 5. My thumbs are sore. What can you do?
But what's also good is seeing Nova in the end game. We've criticized their macro abilities, but when they are in the final position where it's all about the fighting, then they become a completely different team. And not only do they have the circle in their favor, they have the manpower and they have the positioning. Cat going on the wide flank, doesn't want to give Axer any chance, any opportunity. And that's going to be a second win for Nova.
Huge start to the day for Nova Esports. It's feeling like it's starting to click. The fact that they have somebody who's comfortable in Cat going in with HCL to take this is G-Fans on the outside delivering intel, securing those long-range shots like we know he can do so well. This team, they talked about the idea, it's like, we're maybe going to play a little bit less aggressive. That aggression's not working out for us. I don't think it's actually one or the other. The idea of calculated aggression needs to come to play. I think it's something that Loops does a lot, and sometimes they tote that line. But it's knowing, okay, we have the numbers advantage, we have the knock, we need to push and put the pressure on. We saw B4 hesitate with that. They still were able to clutch it out. Pedro went huge, but that again, maybe it wasn't necessarily a fight they should have won. Maybe could have capitalized on that earlier, gotten those kills, and it feels like Nova is starting to get, I want to call it the killer instinct. I feel like they're starting to develop that as a team here, especially in the second Super Weekend.
Well, we'll see what happens if they aren't given that many endgame circles in their favor. Not to take away from them, because they did push and steal that compound away from Unique. The question is, well, not even question, it's the point that you cannot rely strictly on your gun skills and your fighting ability. Macro and rotation is still a very important part.
Oh, it's huge. And I think that's part of the reason why we consistently see C9 in these final circles, because their rotations, I think, are second to none to any team in the West. But that's game number 1 in the books. Oh my goodness, what a banger. Let's send it back over to the analyst to break down that first game.
The PUBG Mobile World League is brought to you by the title sponsor, Qualcomm Snapdragon Elite Gaming, and the official beverage sponsor, Mountain Dew.
Well, hey, and we talked about them at the top of the show, and they've shown us yet again they have come to play. Nova stay in hashtag Nova Strong in chat, able to pick themselves up another chicken dinner and do it in pretty good style. 7, we've been talking about how this team has adapted their style. We talked to G-Fan, he even said it themselves. They've changed things from league play till now, and it's starting to work out for them. It feels like we have almost another PK on our hands here, and how they've been able to step up and get better and better and better.
their gameplay so far has actually reminded me a lot of PMWL America's Nova Esports, of what I used to see from them, and I absolutely love them. And it's something that actually, I don't remember if it was in RERUN or if it was Cameron that said this, but it was right on the money. It might not just be their aggressiveness or their passiveness, it might just be a mix of both, of just being able to go ahead and turn on that switch, be aggressive when they have to, and if you don't have to, just kind of stay back and be passive, be patient, because I remember C-Fan telling me that patience was their strongest asset. Well, there you go. It's working out as they were able to get that win. And then another team that we've been talking about was saying that, hey, they were a bit slow yesterday after starting off hot the weekend, was Kalina Power being able to also get 8 kills and 22 points total. Cloud9 with my boy Para being able to go ahead and collect some extra placement points there for his team. I thought that was great. And then Loops Esports, we saw a play there, Glitter with Loops Esports and Tempo Storm, that was just insane.
Yeah, definitely. Loops definitely got caught out there after that fight specifically. The rest of the game didn't end up working out in their favor, but they were still able to pull down 7 kills. Overall, if you actually look at the kills in that entire first page, it was a very aggressive lobby this time around. Huge for Yala to be able to get 8 placement points. I think that's going to be very, very good for them. We see Wildcard and Tempo both pulling down 4 kill points, just unable to get those placement points. But super surprising, looking all the way down at the bottom, to see Football as one of our current top 4 teams overall, starting off the day in 16th place.
Even SWAT 69 in there, I have to talk about, only getting themselves 1 point. They were 59 points behind UDR Killers. Now they're 58 points with 4 games left to play here in their very first Super Weekend, which is really worrying me. And UDR Killers are probably sitting there enjoying every single time SWAT 69 go out early, because that means they're going to have more of a likely chance of getting through into the finals. We can see here the stats coming in for Nova Esports: 1,500 damage, not a ton. We've seen wins with less damage. We've seen a lot of wins with more damage, but I'm really enjoying to see them be a little bit more consistent, and it feels like to me, Seven, they have worked out the kinks of their new strategy.
Yeah, kills wise, they have been very consistent. I believe the last 2 matches, even after they got their win yesterday, now being able to back it up with another win today to start off the day, I think is going to be just such a great confidence boost. Remember, something that Shifan even mentioned to me yesterday was that getting that win yesterday actually boosted their confidence. Well, being able to do that from the get-go, that's something that you definitely want to go ahead and have, and being able to do that, it's impressive, man. I'm happy for this team.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy for them as well. I want to see if they can continue this pace as we take a look at our do-the-do moments from our first match of the day and talk about a lot of action that we did have go down here. Again, a lot of nades going to be coming through. It feels like every match, Glitter. I mean, it's very seldom we ever see a game that they don't have a nade killer too.
No, and we saw some very impressive nades actually coming out of Loops that I'm sure we'll see later on in this. Down 8 kills in this first game alone and got the win very early on engagement 7.
And something that we actually wanted to go ahead and point out of that engagement, as we're going to be seeing another great engagement here between B4 and SWAT 69. You know what, let me go ahead and mention this, because this was just an amazing 3v1. He used the height advantage that he had to perfection, and for some reason, the players from SWAT 69 were just pushing one by one. I don't understand the mindset behind that. I wish they would all just try to give him different targets at the exact same time, because they would have just overpowered him in numbers alone. But being able to go ahead and clutch that up for B4 Esports, I believe it was better. That was huge. But going back a little bit to Pittsburgh Knights against that fight with Wildcard, you kind of saw them kind of like a chicken without a head, just running around. They didn't really know what was going on. And keep in mind, they don't have their IGL that they have had so far in 6lets. So I do want to go ahead and see them use this next games or this next show days before League Finals, because I think it's safe to say this team is probably going to go ahead and make it to League Finals. There's just no way in heck they don't make it. I want to go ahead and see them use this show days to maybe improve or try out different stuff, with now Jagger being part of that team. I think that would be huge, and it's amazing that actually happened now and not so later on, because that would have probably hurt the team even more. And then I know we were mentioning here a fight between Unique and then Yala, and then Nova was able to third party that in a way. Nova almost ended up getting extra kills on Yala too, but sadly for them, the Blue Zone did all the damage in that fight, Glitter.
Yeah, but to Yala's credit, they were ready for those engagements. They did manage to get a decent amount of placement points, but the fact that they're coming into day 3 and already playing aggressively, I think is going to be very, very smart for them. They started doing that yesterday during the Super Weekend, and there were some engagements that actually paid off in spades. So I'm excited to see the teams like Yala, like Umbra, a lot of the teams that were picking up their aggression yesterday, and hopefully they can carry that into today.
Well, we even saw Kalina Power coming in there as well. Another team we talked about towards the top of the show about we saw some Well, I'll just say what Seven said. They're consistent at being inconsistent, as they were able to show up on day 1, day 2, they kind of disappeared, and yet again, day 3, able to get a top 2 finish here. Let's take a look, though, at the damage overall and see how things compared, because I would imagine we're going to see quite a bit of damage, not only out of Konina Power. I'm assuming Loops is going to have quite a bit as well, since they had themselves, I believe it was 8 kills on the match. But this is really weird. I don't know. I feel like every day we're like met with like a different surprise, you know, like Nova playing well off the bat, Konina Power playing well off the bat, Cloud9 having a pretty decent game considering all things, but Tempo Storm, I mean, Glitter, that's even another team we talked about a little bit as well.
Yeah, they had a strong early game. They got into some fights and they were able to do a lot of damage before they went out. But I think a ton of teams did a surprising amount of damage. Looking at Alpha Legends with only 3 kills, but almost 1,400 damage. But Yala Esports, almost 800 damage, no kills. And then moving on farther down, we're going to see Queso with 0 damage. Both of those are very, very surprising.
And for me, something I want to go ahead and point out, we're not used to seeing this many teams over 1,000 damage.
Yeah.
This is something I love seeing, the aggression, especially on the final day for Super Weekend 2. Remember, they're only going to have one more Super Weekend, and it's not guaranteed that they're going to be able to make it. So they're pushing for those, pretty much for those performances. And one that I do have to point out, as much as I hate it, Team Queso getting 0 damage there. What's going on, Team Queso? I honestly expected more out of you guys right now. They're just very underperforming, and I hope they switch up things, because they cannot afford to go ahead and continue this trend, especially if they're going to make it to league finals.
I mean, I think they're going to be relatively safe. We can take a look at the overall standings and see where they currently do sit, but I'd agree. If they want to take home a big lump sum of money, they're going to need to really improve the performance over this next week and even here in the last day as well. But we can see Loops Esports can be maintain that #1 position. The only team to move here on the first page, as we can see, it's going to be Dream Eaters, as they have gone up to 5th place.
Yeah, and I think Dream Eaters being able to get those extra 8 points in the last one, I think that was huge. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see them challenge Pittsburgh Knights a little bit more, as we saw Pittsburgh Knights kind of fumble getting pushed there from Wildcard. But Tempo Storm, even though they did go down, you guys mentioned it, they ended up getting a lot of damage, and that's one team that's is always like a sneaky surprise for me. They're able to do so well, and then they just kind of disappear. And you don't know how they're doing until they end up winning the game here or there. And then B4 with Pedro being able to go ahead and clean up those kills on SWAT 69. I think that's what's huge as we go here towards this second page. And this is the one that I'm going to be kind of focusing on, as we see SWAT 69 just getting only 1 more point. We expect, we need them to go ahead and pick it up. It's not guaranteed, Glitter, that they're going to make it into the next Super Weekend. And I'm pretty sure if you're Utah Killers right now, they're pretty happy with SWAT 69's performance.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be watching SWAT 69, seeing just how close they are able to get at the end of today. But there's not too many shifts here. Nova obviously does bump themselves up in the rankings after that second win, so that's going to be good for them. Definitely starting to give themselves a little bit more of a cushion when it comes to securing that top 16 spot. I think that's going to be very good for them, but still looking to see just a little bit more out of Queso, Umbra, and Yala.
Well, I think speaking of seeing a little bit more out of some people or players, maybe seeing a little bit more out of our predictions, because it didn't work out too well for all of us, I'd say. Not terribly, as we did get 11 points for Loops and Cloud9 getting 16. But then again, the way the predictions are working out, you can only choose a team once in a day. So that means Glitter, myself, and Aviram cannot choose Loops, and Seven and Cameron cannot choose Cloud9 anymore. But we'll see how this is going to progress throughout later on the day. And of course, if you guys at home haven't played PUBG Mobile in a while, I have to ask, well, why haven't you, first of all? And second of all, the Royal Pass Season 14 is available. And if you haven't checked it out just yet, lucky for you, you have a chance to right now. Well, if you guys haven't caught that yet, make sure you do it right now as we head into our second match of the day. Let's take a look at the schedule yet again, so you guys at home can see what will be coming up throughout today and around what time as well. And since we're going into our second match, that means we're going over to Vikendi. Things get a little bit cold, as it was rainy earlier on today here in the studio. Things are going to be cooling down a little bit here onto our second map of the day. I want to see, though, for me, again, I want to see Nova pick up some consistency. I want to see Konina Power get some consistency. I want to see SWAT 69 get more than 1, 2, or 3 kills in a match. I know they had a couple of, I had a 9 and a 6 yesterday, but they need those points if they want to get through into the top 16. And looking forward to now our second match. How do you think things are going to go here for these teams that I just talked about, Glitter? What's your feeling? What's your gut telling me? Telling you, I guess.
My gut.
It'd be weird if your gut was talking to me.
Yeah, that'd be weird, right? My gut's telling me that actually I might end up choosing one of the teams in your list of teams to be looking out for moving into the next match. So I'm hoping that they do well because we love to see those teams have the ability to kind of pick themselves back up after a rough start, right? So I'm definitely looking forward to the next map.
Okay, well, let's get our predictions in then. And since you were talking about choosing one of those teams I just mentioned, which one is it, Glitter?
Going to be Konina Power.
7 in the club right
No.
now? Sorry, I just looked over and he's sitting there getting a little groove on.
He's vibing.
Vibing,
7's
baby,
vibing.
I'm
Okay.
in first place right now.
Thinking about cotton candy ice cream. Konina Power, okay.
Yes.
So a little bit of a bold pick, but I respect it. 7. Besides cotton candy ice cream, who's the team you think is going to come through?
you getting me the cravings here, man. Turning out
have
to be
ice cream for breakfast
right
after
now,
you work
wanting
out,
some
man.
cotton candy ice cream. Yes, I can. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Loops Esports. Loops Esports. I think they usually perform pretty well. They didn't. They actually kind of let me down yesterday in Vikendi, so I hope they go ahead and improve on yesterday's performance today, going into Vikendi.
See, this is going to be, I think, one of the first times we've had a full split here on the desk, because I actually went with football lists. So we have a different team for each of us. And that leads me to wonder, what has Cameron and RERUN chosen, since they had Cloud9 and Loops as well. And we'll check in with you guys after the match, and we'll see how our predictions will go. I feel like Glitter's going to come out on top here. 7 is definitely going to go order himself some cotton candy ice cream. If you guys are at home or watching, not only can you order food for yourself, but you can also watch and earn points. And the top 100 viewers will have a chance to get themselves exclusive rewards. Not even a chance, they will be getting those. So make sure you're watching within the game, within the Esports Center. Remember, you can tweet to us at Esports PubGM with the hashtag PMWL. Maybe we can feature you on the show if you have something good to say. And I'll tell you this now, if you say something good about me, there's definitely a good chance you'll be on the show. Let's bring in our commentators and Viram and Cameron. Hopefully you didn't hear me say that. How are you guys doing? One game done. We had Nova pick up the victory here. That's impressive, Cameron. It's good to see some consistency bouncing back.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I'm going to say what I said again already. I would love to see them include better macro play into the play style, but it just, yeah, when they're in a fight, they're looking more confident than ever. And I think they might start to look like the other breach-heavy team that we like to compliment so much, being at the top of the leaderboards in Loops. Just because that push on Unique was so good, so well done.
Yeah, I definitely got to follow up on that. That was really just, I think we're starting to see more of their style come in. Nova always was like a team that was like okay at everything, but not great at anything. They were kind of a jack of all trades, but unless you're excellent at everything, that doesn't really work. But now starting to add in a little bit more aggression and playing sort of a 2-2 style that other teams they could sort of strayed away from. If they can really own and rock that, and they can capitalize on players that are playing off on their own, I have some high expectations for Nova. Let's see if they can deliver.
What about Konina Power? Do you guys think, I mean, we had Glitter predict them to win the match. Do you think they're going to be consistent yet again here in Viram? Do you think they're going to get themselves a decent place in here?
Yeah, I think that they're definitely going to be one of the teams up there near the top. They traditionally do pretty well on Vikendi. Again, it's one of these maps that has a lot of early fighting, which I think that they tend to do well in. They did well day number 1. Those first 2 games were really, really solid for them. Let's see if they can replicate that here again today.
Let's see if we can replicate some predictions, maybe. We saw it's kind of a split on the desk here so far. I'm curious if it's going to stay split or if Cameron's going to pick one of the teams we already chosen. What do you got, Cameron?
Listen, I don't understand why 7 is in first and I'm close towards the bottom, because for the past few weeks, we've been picking the same team so many times.
Exactly
I'm also
why
going
then.
Loops. It's the Vikendi map.
Okay, so we got Loops for you.
That's actually
Viram.
100% why, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Cloud9. You keep picking the same teams, the split's going to stay exactly the same, Karen. I don't know what to tell you. No, I'm going to go Cloud9. I think you may have gotten the better of me on this one, and maybe he'll get the better of me on both of these first 2 games. It's kind of a toss-up between these 2 squads because they're both just that good.
Well, Cameron, I think desperately needs to start catching up on some points here. Though he's not as low as Mustache Dave, don't vote for him as the new officer, I'd say, commissioner in our talent prediction. Why don't you guys take us into our second match of the day, though?
Thank you so much, Jason. Game number 2 already underway. One of the things I love about this show, Cameron, is the fact that we take no breaks. we just go. It is
Go in.
gameplay, it is breakdown and analysis, it is cool content, it is stats, and then it is right back into the gameplay. No timers here, no breaks, just all fighting here for the PUBG Mobile World League West Season 0. So let's get into our second game on Vikendi, which I think between the two of us has definitely become one of my favorite maps to cast.
Yeah, I mean, we just cast so much of it. At some point, you got to fall in love with it. And there's a lot of interesting things that go on in this map compared to the other ones. It's great how all the different maps have such unique identities. There's not a lot of crossover once you get past the base level of PUBG Mobile that you're playing. But this first circle, we finally get one that doesn't have a bunch of water. Yes, it is heavy towards one side of the island, then the other. But I don't think this is going to be pretty even because the teams that have to travel the furthest are the teams that dropped first. So in a way that makes it sort of even, makes it sort of fair.
Yeah, they get a little more time to loot. But teams that are going to be maybe scrapping for some loot, just looking at this initial drop, is SWAT 69 and Team Unique. They've dropped very, very close to each other here in Dobro. Of course, there's a lot of buildings still to work around. It's obviously a very jam-packed city, but we'll see. And then, of course, I know what our observers are going to take us next because we have to have that epic start. Konita Power. Oh, we didn't all the Konita.
Whoa, debated there.
Start. I debated us.
Listen.
To be fair, I called this. They listened to me. I ruined this. This is my fault. I did this.
Also, come on, Wildcard had only just now landing in Volnova, and surprise, Konita Power aren't there. But over here in Dobro, we've seen this once before. Unique usually drops in Hot Springs, but when the plane is not in the favor to do that, they will go to Dobro. And I believe the last time they may have scrapped a little bit, but it wasn't a huge fight here. But Unique, they're cornering SWAT 69.
And I mean, if you're the team coming into this in 16th place, you barely just scraped into the Super Weekend. You did take down Loops yesterday through a couple of insanely skilled or a little bit lucky grenades, maybe a bit of both. Maybe you're going to be feeling a little more confident. Maybe you're like, all right, we see you, Team Unique. You haven't been necessarily quite so hot either. Maybe we'll take a little bit of a fight. But I think if you're a SWAT 69, you only do that if it is 100% on your own terms.
Yeah, and that's basically how you want to fight in the early game, no matter what. They're not fighting for a position in the circle. They're not even close to the circle. They're all going to have to move. And so if someone overextends and they get a free kill that takes maybe 2 seconds to shoot and flush, then yeah, you take that. But you're not going to set up. You're not going to commit to anything. But Lord here, again, Yala, time and time, they get called out.
Potentially, at least Lord has a friend nearby in Zana. This is actually a 2v1 situation for them, so maybe...
But yeah, but look at the rest of Nova. They're not far from this. It's not a 4v1 like we saw last time on Vikendi when these two teams found each other in the early game, but it's still not favoring Yala.
Especially now that everyone's moving in. Cat on the flank. G-Fan is here to help mix things up. Lord is getting pushed on. When they heard it, they know exactly what's going on here. They know they are not alone.
Molly comes in, doesn't find anything just yet, but it's a multi-man push. They're going to find one on the outside. Oh, but AZ goes down, but a lot of damage to Zana anyway. It's going to be an easy trade, and Lord doesn't have the angle to assist. He's going to drop down, try and take advantage of the distraction, but now his position is given away.
He's going to try and thirst the kill. HCL trying to block it. Okay, hang on a second. Oh, Lord, barely missing those shots. As HCL, actually, no, he does connect onto HCL, actually, but Cat is going to come in. Cat.
Oh,
wait
Lord.
a second.
That's 3 points. Cat's late to the party. AZ's going to bleed out. He hears the footsteps. He's going to run away and try and reposition himself, try and heal up. But he is just taking these fights. He should not have won those. But no, it's the teammates driving in that wipe out Cat. Nova are out in 16th place. They had the advantage, but the shooting from Lord saves Yala.
Look, if I wasn't a bit of a Lord fanboy before, I certainly am now. My goodness, those shots were clean. The way he was able to use the third-person mode, get right in and out of the doorway there. Normally see players playing around with the idea of the up and down. They play around these defilades, these rises. They use their ability to crouch, and then they pop back up again. They leverage jump shots. We didn't see that at all. We just saw clean shots timing out what they're, and that's a mind game too, because you're pushing in when you think they're not going to be shooting, playing around reload timings. And that was that's not even with like he had like an Uzi point blank range. He did that with an AKM, which has that super slow fire rate. But when he can connect with the shots, it hits like a truck. And Nova Esports, the team that we were complimenting, the team that just won the last game, is now out in 16th place. If you'd gone in the window to Dean, I would have like baked you a pie. That would have been sick. That would have been so cool. Could have tried to show up the East for that crazy, drive up the wall play that they had earlier today. I mean,
is
sick.
Ballsy by Loops. They go drive dead center through multiple teams. And I understand that Vikendi, there are a lot of ways to break line of sight. Quick replay of Lord's shooting. Yeah, you mentioned
good.
It's the AK. And he didn't even have any time to heal up. He had to take those fights all in succession. But Loops, they sent it here with only 2 players. The other 2 are they're not even close to arriving just yet. I mean, yeah, they weren't clown carring it. If they drove into trouble, they at least had 2 on the north to stay alive. But that is, for a team that likes to play on the edge, I feel a very uncharacteristic play. I understand that in phase 1, you still kind of want to take center no matter how you like to play it out.
Yeah.
I picked them, and so my heart did stop for a second when I saw the drive. That's all I got to say.
Especially just given what happened to them on this map yesterday. They pushed into SWAT 69, tried to do what they do best. 2 players went down instantly to grenades.
That was a comedy of errors in so many different ways.
That was just so unfortunate. I mean, SWAT 69 almost barely didn't win that despite all the advantages they had in their favor. But they ended up outlasting Loops by quite a while. The players, don't say it was a clean win by SWAT 69, but they forced such a late rotation, destroyed the vehicles of Loops that they literally just burnt out in the circle, and that was it.
Y'all are right now still reeling in their victory, or at least, well, Lord's victory. Though it's all a team effort. At least that's probably what his teammates are all saying. We were cheering you from the sidelines. It's all into us too. Driving up to Winery, trying to find some information because that fight with Nova did sort of keep them from rotating as quickly as they might have wanted to. They're gonna have to take restock of this entire server, and you can see a number of teams on the south as well as the west begin their rotation. But Alpha Legends, again, holding center compound. This is really strange. Half the teams that were close to center immediately went to center. The other half of the teams that weren't took their time.
And we're going to look back at Kato, actually from Alpha Legends, trying to find the shots in Kowalski there. And able to do so, able to pick up that first kill. The Loops not getting through unscathed. Not ideal situation for them at all, Cameron. And starting, again, if there's any team that I think can make best of these bad situations, it's definitely going to be Loops, because as much as we hype up Carrillo, I feel like everybody else has been really stepping up. Dadine, sort of as the leader of this squad, not afraid to put himself out in positions to put his team in a better positions. Even if he goes down, he trusts in his team. And then you always have Federal. He's in the back. He's on a roof. He's got an angle. They just seem to know their jobs so well. Yeah. It's like a symphony of skills. It's just so beautiful to watch when it all clicks and when it all comes together.
Before here, they don't want to clown car this. No. They find a vehicle real quick. I was curious. It looked like they were running into Dobro, but I think that was just to try and find a vehicle. And I'm going to call that out a little bit. Finding a vehicle should be the job in the very, very beginning of the game. Sure, sometimes they just don't spawn where you think they will or where you hope they will. But it is still the thing that you want to have first thing on your mind, because you don't want to loot up and then have to worry about that. But Wildcard, they're also rotating in, and they have vehicles for days, as well as Queso. Both teams make it a very smart rotation coming in from the southeast side. And Wildcard taking advantage of this hill to overlook the center of the circle.
Marco, he's fine. He's fine. I feel like we're watching the Fast and the Furious, because whether it be B4 and C9 or now, Wildcard and TQ, but they're just like next to each other, like staring at each other across the way, like giving each other like death stares, like, hey, I see you, I'm coming for you later. And, that's just what, especially along the coast, because it's just like, hang on a second, like one wrong turn and you can see what happened to Marco. If one of those cars actually had flipped, Wildcard would have taken full advantage, but they pulled up on a pretty stellar compound here for them. They're looking darn solid. Just have KP and Unique, as well as SWAT 69, who are going to play the late rotate, the long spawn, the long bomb, I should say, coming in, going to eat the blue for a while, trying to find a position, but rotating in late on the Vikendi. There are a lot of compounds. Chances of you pulling up on one that's already occupied, though, at this point, probably going to be pretty high.
Yeah. We'll see where the circle shifts, and I'm more worried about Konina Power and Unique actually taking this fight because they are all entangled up with each other. The shift is not going to be too heavy one direction or another, and it's such a small shift compared to Phase 1. No one really should be all out of sorts. But I'm seeing some damage in between Unique and Konina Power. No one's really stopping, though. I think this is going to split bridges. Konina Power taking the south one, Unique taking the north one. But I do wonder, Unique might have an opportunity to, once they get inside Phase 1, stop and wait for Konina and forcefully take that fight.
And that might be the situation that this area just outside of Villanova gets really, really spicy. As now Team Queso, Loops, and Alpha Legends are all getting involved. This is what I was talking about, showing up late. Now Team Queso, they're going to try and rotate, but again, they're along the coast. They don't have a whole lot of places to go. Their areas are limited, and now they're split between two different compounds, potentially. Mystic's got to get back in line. Ayala is down to a scrap of HP, and they're just deciding they need to split this up because of how much pressure is around them. And Mystic, he's not even sure this compound's empty. See how long he took to scout that still in the vehicle? That's just a heads-up play.
Yeah, and you can tell that Queso are coming in with very, very little information. When that happens and you have the vehicles, sure, send it in a conga line essentially, and the people that get shot, they tell you, hey, there's a team there, and yes, you might have to lose one player, you might even lose two, but when you're lacking information, that's kind of the only thing that you can do, because you don't want to be crawling in at Phase 2 just on the outside of the zone. Risky play, but it's a necessary one if you want any opportunity to actually have a foothold into the rest of the game.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, we talked about the idea of just setting yourself up for success, of getting the work in early. You talked about one of those things being getting vehicles, but there's so much more to it. Not only just the early stages of making sure you have enough utility, but it's putting yourself in a compound that's not going to get punished later on. That not only you're setting up for how the circle is now, but you're giving yourself options on rotations for where you might want to go to next. And you're being cognizant of where the other teams are grouping up around you, and you're trying to find the next path forward, because that's one of the great things about Battle Royales, PUBG Mobile in particular. It's all about a game of momentum and moving forward. It's not just about the first step, it's about the next step and the one after that.
Looking at B4 here, they have a good spot to overlook a lot of the circle. The shift somewhat in their favor, and it's really free around them in terms of area. They're not anywhere close to the whole cluster of teams that we're seeing on just east of center, just east of that river. Queso, though, wait, who is this pushing in onto them? It's Umbra. Umbra, I did not see where they came from, but yeah, this is the problem with having a scout, is that one can get taken out. Fortunately, now they know where Queso is, so they can hopefully use that to their advantage.
Isn't this exactly what you were just talking about, Cam? You're like, oh, you might lose one, maybe two.
But if you have no other option, then that you have to do it.
Yeah. Konina Power is still out in the blue. I hope they had a lot of stims, just so many stims. Unique have come in, but no, that was Pro Lord and crew. The Nade Master. Sorry, I'm going to give you some flack for that still from yesterday. Pro Lord, you're great. I love you. Coming on in from Cement Factory in the south. And all of these teams have really not had to shift the last two circles, Cameron. They've been very, very fortunate. These have been pretty loving, tender circles. They're not going to put you too far out of position.
Yeah, most of that what happens just because these first couple of ships don't actually shrink that much. It's only a real issue when there's a lot of water in play, which we have seen a lot on Vikendi, or there's some interesting terrain to play around. This time, it's, as you mentioned, it's pretty standard. So outside of a couple of scraps here and there, no team is really going to have to push in too much. B4 trying to deal some damage to Cloud9. They're in a 2 split. The first two here, Pedro, and I forget, I missed who he was standing with, went in first. Now the rest of B4 are going to be following up to get inside, but everyone else is in. But Halls, where are you going?
Down.
Where is he going? He at least had a position with his teammate.
I don't know, man. Umbra's just been a comedy of errors. They had a compound, they pushed onto Queso, lost a couple members, then they're just driving around, and now Tempo Storm and Yala Esports are going toe-to-toe. Anas is here. Lord is already dead. The hero who clutched out the start of this game is down. Tempo Storm starting to step up and get involved. They are able to trade out some downs, but Spec, I think, is reviving HH24. Arain is going to do the same potentially to Tensa, but it is Anas. Lord is down on the outside. Lord,
I love it.
Player we already saw clutch up earlier. Can Anas do the same? No, he cannot. Tempo Storm, with not even a full HP bar between them, able to keep all 4 members alive. Spec, oh my goodness, just barely and that is Yala Esports out of it. The team to get the first squad wipe is the next squad to get wiped.
That is, it's kind of heartbreaking for Anas because it was such a good play and he seemed to execute it so well, but he jumped out of the window 1 second too late. He dealt one less bullet to the first target, 1 or 2 fewer bullets to the second target, and that all culminated with 0 points in the entire, and Yala going out in 15th place. Dream Eaters here as well. We saw that easy quick tag on the Toffees. Didn't see who
Fede Rao with the M2
got the shot. It was okay. All right, Loops, making a stand in the center.
That was again. I always talk about the idea. Fede Rao's up on a roof somewhere looking at.
He's always on a roof. He's the guard.
He's always on a roof somewhere, and he's looking for you. Another player who's doing that potentially is Beowulf, the IGL, the shot caller, one of the shot callers for Cloud9, the big brain player. And it's so funny. I remember watching Beowulf like last year, beginning of 2019. He was on another squad, and I still have this memory in my head of him jump shotting around a corner, point blank range with an M4 to clean up 2 players and get a chicken dinner. And I think watching him mature over the last year has been so cool as like a fan and a spectator, as a commentator, to see him pull it back a little bit. He still has those aggressive tendencies, but he focuses on his role of IGL, I think, even more so, and he's had to rein that in a little bit. But when the rest of his team is down and he's in some of these later situations, watching him still be able to pull out that aggression, be the Saga of Legend, be Beowulf in that moment is still pretty cool.
Okay, this is an interesting shift. It's not so much that it's a medium to hard shift southwest. It's the fact that the river is becoming a very, very prominent part. Podvosto, dead center, and that's going to be a number of teams from the east especially trying to push in, but the terrain, it varies, of course, because it's still so large of a circle, but on average, it's almost like a valley on both sides. So it's going to be a big fight for these compounds. Tempo have a great opportunity. Dream Eaters have a really good opportunity, but we're already seeing a couple of teams dive in, Cloud9 being one of them.
Oh my goodness, they're just sending it. They're just sending it so early. And yeah, Tempo Storm, they're in such a great spot. They are dead center of this. They are right on the river. They're in a fantastic position, but everybody is just dogpiling in, trying to take over what little terrain is left out there. Look at this. Thank you, observers. Look at this valley you're talking. It's gorgeous. I want to go skiing there. Not want to have a gunfight there so much. Maybe a little less ideal. Less ideal, Cameron. Yeah.
Great play there from Cloud9, though. They were able to scout out from the north side. That compound was perfectly free, and they sent it before anyone else has even tries to fight them for it. And Tempo, they're now getting engaged by, it seems, Queso. It's only one player at the start, and Marco, he's going to get burned to death. What are the rest of Queso going to do? Just stop early and take this compound. It's not a bad position. I don't know if that was worth it. The information was worth giving a player up from that. I feel like they would have had a better opportunity to actually properly scout and not just send with vehicles. But alas, still, 3 up, good position. They could be in a significantly worse situation, such as going out in 13th place with 0 damage.
Oof. Calm out, Cameron. No, I agree. I don't think Marco had to die there. I think it's just that simple. I don't think Marco had to die, but you know who has to die, apparently? Alpha Legends, says Pittsburgh Knights. As this looks like a 2v4 situation. Where's the rest of PK? They're all just playing around this rock, trying to take over the high ground. Not able to land any shots, though, and now Raven is stepping up. Alpha Legends trying to rotate on the outside. Uzi's around, but no! PK getting the best of this exchange. Faker, one of the last man standing in the back. Carnage is going to be able to step up, and there we go, PK. Pittsburgh Knights, death by the sword to Alpha Legends. All 4 members still up. Only Raven even downed. And that was basically a 2v4 for a lot of that, Cameron.
Yeah, but the rest of the Knights responded so quickly. There's no conversation about, oh, do we go? Do we send it to the circle? Or do we come back? And they just immediately went. And part of that was because Alpha Legends just seemed to have difficulty utilizing the rock to their advantage. And the Knights played defensively very, very well, as well in the vehicles. But that fight gives information to the Dream Eaters. You can already tell that they're looking in that direction, waiting for the Knights to approach them from that very same angle. The circle did ease over towards the east side, where we see Cloud9, Tempo, Queso, and Dream Eaters holding the most powerful compounds. But Queso, they're maneuvering their vehicles around. I think they're just trying to protect their tires, but by doing so, HH24 spray through that tiny little itty-bitty angle of the door frame is going to get a knock onto Ayala.
Saw it, and he's tracking him too. He knew where the teammate was. He had no vision of him through the smoke, but he knows where the most likely path of rotation is. So he was following him through that. Just so much game sense from Tempo Storm, from all of these top players, as now the fights are breaking out. Multiple downs popping up in the kill feed, back and forth shots. All these 4 teams, you talked about it, the ones playing around Podavisto and the bridge, the center of this circle, they got there early. They have a great position, and now they have to fight for it.
I wonder what's going to happen to the teams on the west side of the river. Looking at B4 footballers and squad 69. B4, well, they're having a rough push of things. Footballers, they're just barely inside the zone. This is all on B4 to sort of break way. You try and crowbar an entrance. They're not given the opportunities. They need to land some really good grenades, but they already lost a player. Another player also got downed. And just the hard cover, the footballers. But the Knights may have something else to say. Coming from a separate angle, this could alleviate the pressure onto B4. But J7, where's your backup?
It is very, very delayed. And now because they were not in sync on that push, everybody is watching from that angle. The rest of the vehicles can't even come up to help him. And now J7, the one who usually is so known for snaking into the circles at the end, is now the first man in, which is not necessarily ideal. Yeah, you can see the smoke coming off these vehicles. PK do not feel comfortable following up on this. They got into the circle for now, and they have had wins on Vikendi. This is a map where they have done well, but the problem is they do well when eyes are not on them, when they're able to come in and capitalize on chaos, and chaos is what we're seeing right now. Is Konita Power, no, Gonzo through the smoke. Unique Lightning is there on the flank, has the high ground as the angle through this destroyed wall. Where is the rest of Konita Power? That's what he's trying to figure out. And they're there. It's Axer. He's actually getting the res, and this might actually be a better position for them unless Unique can go huge.
Nade comes out. Memphis is crawling to him. He wants to get the revive. He wants to at least make this a 2v2. Or a 2v3 it seems. Axer guys all of his teammates up, and now they're going on the push. This could be really good angle that Axer finds.
Yeah, we're seeing multiple fights breaking out here. You can see the picture-in-picture on your screen. Memphis is able to get back up. Axer giving away the position, but they are just going to be able to push in. They have the meds. They have the angles. And Unique are setting themselves up an avenue of escape. Multiple smoke grenades coming out, but I don't think Konita Power Cameron is going to give them the opportunity to take advantage of it.
Axer finding information, sees they're crossing, and he's going on the flank. Oh, it was a fake, or it was something. He's just going to be pushing straight in through the smoke. They're running out of time because of the blue. Memphis should be hearing the footsteps. He's just waiting for someone to fall into his trap.
Backing up.
Konita. They don't like this fight. The blue is about to start coming in, and so they're getting vehicles, and they are just making a break for it. Rob is giving the information, but a fight's also breaking out between Wildcard pushing in onto Queso.
And just Team Queso got melted. Just melted. That is burnt cheese all over the bottom of the pan. Scrape it off and start again. Wild card made that look so solid. They got an initial knock and then pushed on it so beautifully as the fights continue to break out. It is Tempo Storm now going into Konita Power, loops into Dream Eaters. Carrillo and Federal, point blank range. Federal, who started this off with another beautiful headshot with the sniper to get this on to Dream Eaters as Matic and Meku are pushing on in. Loops, of course, lost a player early, and now it is another 2v2 situation. Carrillo is prepping the nade. Federal taking the shots. No, he does not lose those. Not even into Matic, one of the top fraggers. But Meku is doing the work, and now Federal has got to go off once again. Then no, the jump shot from Toffee is just those sheer weight of numbers as Loops goes down, eliminated in 11th place. Dream Eaters go clutch.
Such a great start once they actually got into the compound, but they lost the first player way at the beginning of the game, and then their second death was approaching the compound, and only so much you can do at that point. Dream Eaters, they've regained control of the northeast side, but they're going to have to push in away from their compound. And Konita Power found a position in the basement of Tempo's mansion. They don't want anyone to take this from them, but they've been swatting away rats this entire game, and look at this circle shift towards Cloud9. Ten's the wrong way, wrong direction. You have to coin flip for that, and Robdini is going to take full advantage of it.
Oh, he had a 50-50 chance on that one. He had a 50-50 chance, and Rob, the perfect positioning. They knew he was there, but he was still able to take advantage. And also, Tempo Storm was fighting against Wildcard during that, who still has all 4 members alive. But this is such a crazy fight. We talked about the idea of urban warfare yesterday, Cameron, and it seems like Sunday wanted to continue to deliver. But wait a second, who's sitting here next to SWAT 69? Is that Team Umbra? What is going on?
Just chilling. He's letting 69 do all of the work against Wildcard, who open ground push. not only so much you can do from that one, trying to go past Tempo Sword into Cloud9, but Cloud9 are still the only team inside this circle. B4, for some miraculous reason, able to make it into Podvosto. I think it's just because Footballs was so distracted by the Knights push that we saw in the picture-in-picture.
Actually, 3 still alive, too.
Yeah.
They managed to keep all 3 members alive, despite the fact they had a terrible angle for a while there. They had to cross the river. Now they become, maybe not necessarily the most fortunate situation, but they become neighbors with footballists, Maybe they're loud. Maybe they play late music late at night, parties on weekends where you should be in car. I'm just saying, I feel like B4 is going to need to do something about this if they want to continue to push in.
Footballists trying to run away from this fight because they got to send it in. The Blues pushing in at their back. And now B4 running over the frozen river. It's not a fun time to have. And you can see the damage that they're taking. This is exactly why. It's not just Footballists. Pedro's trying to find an angle to put pressure, but it's also Cloud9 shooting at them from across the way.
Oh my goodness, Cloud9 just getting circle after circle. They've been the porcupine in the center of this every single time somebody tries to come into their zone. There's like, no. Talk about the idea of swatting them back. That is what we are continuing to see. Potential little bit of a heel strat. Levi goes down. Pedro, the last man standing. Of course, SWAT 69's getting eliminated as well. Footballists in a terrible position. They're going to just put down that smoke and keep this going. Uneven did drop, though. They're going to have to work to get him up. And these buildings, they're interesting, Cameron, because they offer a lot of sight lines, but they also don't offer a lot of cover. And that's a second member of Cloud9 knocked. Hang on a second.
Ooh, yeah, this is bad. I like how, you're right, it doesn't offer a lot of cover, it just offers different cover from other buildings. You need to be very, very aware of the angles that teams are going to be playing on. Coney to Power do get eliminated. And Cloud9, you saw the biggest threat to that building was from the north. That is perfectly clear, and they should know that because they can see outside of it just as easily as teams can see in. And now we're looking at the top 3 right now. Wildcard, for some reason, able to stay alive inside a little bit of a bowl that they're hanging out in. But it's still going to be all Cloud9. Wildcard and Footballists need to attack at the same time. But Adder still needs to be revived.
Slicky, such good shots. I remember commentating him back in ESL 1 New York. The guy hits his shots on one of the biggest stages in North American PUBG Mobile. It continues to hit them here on the world stage. Footballist Cameron, I cannot believe they lived. They did that cheesy little send into the river, smoking themselves up behind the vehicles. I mean, Pyra's aware of this, but I cannot believe they outlived B4. They outlived everybody to get here into the top 3. Footballists, they are scrappy, and I love it. Same goes for Wildcard. Both are in precarious situations. But this time, C9 got some of the circle, but not all of it. But they're getting the shots to back this one up. The box goes down. They're hiding behind it, but Footballists is in a rough spot, and that is Footballists eliminated, making this a 3v4 situation with Wildcard. They're pushing into the circle early. They have the angle. Nice job from Sam. The covering fire from Acer and Slicky was there, but this is still not a great position for C9, who have to push out of this building. Bayo goes down. Whoa. Wait a second. Cloud9 potentially could throw this, but Adder, the myth, the man, the legend, the shots. He is taking this game over all by himself, and that is going to be it. GG, Cloud9 get it done. Oh my goodness, Adder, Uneven, they go off, they find the shots, and with 12 kills? That is a stellar victory for Cloud9.
Such a good push at the end there by Wildcard, but just unfortunate. Adder went super aggressive onto it to counter it out. And the cover was in Cloud9's favor. They picked up all the kills, and they get the win here on Vikendi. It was a hard-fought battle. There was a very difficult area to hold against that many teams all attacking you at once. But Cloud9, there's a reason why we talk about them so much.
I mean, to be fair, they got that circle again and again and again, but it happened because of that early send they did right down in the valley. They took over that compound, and they were rewarded. They identified their power position. If Footballists have lived for even 5-10 more seconds, that could have been a completely different finish. Yeah. Wildcard pushing in any case. What a stellar game number 2. Feeling very fortunate to get to cast that one, but let's take a look at some commercials, then send it back over to our analysts.
I found nothing.
My teammates weren't around!
Have you ever seen a chicken dinner in just 15? Wow, it feels so good!
One more?
And Cloud9 have to be feeling so good as well, considering they take themselves another chicken dinner and maybe surpassing Loops on the leaderboards to take themselves back into first place. I'm still Jason Kaplan, still got Seven, still got Glitter here to be joining me. Seven, did you change shirts?
No, what you mean?
I thought you were wearing like a white shirt,
blue.
and then I saw like powder blue. I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes going in my old age. Hey, yeah, that's very true. But we had quite a game again. Cloud9 looking a little bit more, looking more to their true form, I guess we should say, after yesterday in particular. But getting themselves 32 points, those 12 kills, Glitter, they have to be so happy about that.
Definitely happy about that, especially after they kind of fell off at the end of yesterday. You know, the casters have mentioned it a couple times. Cloud9 seems to get a little bit tired at the end of the day. So this was a great start for them, especially on a map that I don't think we typically see them do too well on. I think everybody was really prepared for them to do well on Erangel, but this is a nice showing for Cloud9. And then Wildcard Gaming, we've been trying to talk about them a little bit, waiting for them to kind of wake up here, and this is a very strong game for Wildcard moving into the rest of the day, and I think that these points are going to just help with that little extra bit of cushion. Footboss bouncing back nicely after the first game, and then moving back on down the list. It's good to see Konina Power in the top 5 now, Seven.
Yeah, and Konina Power being at least getting 3 kills. Hey, guess what? They're starting to be somewhat a little bit consistent with placement alone, so I'll take it. I'll take anything they want to go ahead and give me. And then with Tempo Storm, I think I have to go ahead and give a huge shout out to HH24 because he ended up getting 867 damage himself. And one of the surprises that I'm actually going to be seeing here in the second page is going to be Nova Esports. I expected Nova to do really well here, as they were able to do yesterday in Vikendi. They actually ended up winning Vikendi, if I'm not mistaken. And it's something to go ahead and point out is that Cat almost clutched up there at the end for Nova, and I feel like Cat now playing twice with them, yesterday being the first day that they get a chance to play with him, with the team, is they have improved so much better. So that's definitely a storyline I'm going to keep a close eye on. And then Pittsburgh Knights, it seems like they're currently hurting by only being able to get just 4 points total, Jason.
Yeah, but you see SWAT69 at least getting 6 points for themselves too, and that's kind of nice to see. Again, they have a lot of points to make up here, whereas Pittsburgh Knights, they're relatively safe into making in the finals anyways. Just more about, working with their team. I think we're going to see a lot of, bad results for them, just trying to figure some things out for themselves within the team, considering what will be coming up in the near future. But we can see the stats here for Cloud9, 1,700 damage, only 580 healing, but they get themselves the 12 kills, and for me, Glitter, that was the important part, showing that they can frag out and get back into their former form.
Yeah, they definitely needed to kind of show that, especially now that we're starting to pit them against Loops, and Loops is known for their aggression and for their kills. So that's very strong for Cloud9, and we also saw that they were able to utilize their positioning very well in this particular game, and I think that's why it ended up playing out so well in their favor. But that's important moving forward because, like you said, they're already in a position where we know that they're making it into the finals, or they should be able to.
No, they're
top 1 and 2. Right. So they now at this point have to kind of tweak whatever small, minuscule mistakes they see themselves making, and I think that this was a great way for them to get on board with the aggressive side of things.
Speaking about aggressive side, we have our do moments, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see Nova up against Yala in the beginning of the clips as well, considering how that worked out in favor of Yala. Yeah, you're seeing it exactly right here. Zana just off the bat, as well as Lord. Actually, I messaged, I think it was Lord earlier on, saying, I want to see you guys get some more chicken dinner. He said to me, like, I got you. A little bit of work left to go here, though, for him, Seven, but at least able to win an early fight.
Hey, at least being able to go ahead and get four kills right there on Nova, the team that won yesterday, that's impressive. That's impressive. And something that we saw there was that Cat was alive until the end out of the Nova team, and I thought he was actually going to go ahead and clutch it because he's known as a clutch player too. He's a great Chinese player. As we go now here to Tempo HH24, something that I mentioned, he put out a lot of damage. My boy put out about 800 and something damage, but he was only able to go ahead and get 1 kill out of that. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be a little bit upset about that. He wants to go ahead and confirm those skills. And players that we've been talking about now for a long time in Solke, in RERUN from football, is they just been so consistent themselves as well. and it's something I want to go ahead and see more out of their own teammates. As we see here, Pittsburgh Knights just getting rushed in by Footballers, and Footballers is just too much for them. They were not able to control them, and then we had another fight there between Dream Eaters and Loops Esports. That was an interesting fight. Loops Esports was just one man down, and I think that was a disadvantage there. They weren't able to be as aggressive, and that's actually something that I noticed throughout the match. Loops Esports was playing very cautious because they didn't have that extra player there, and every single time we see them, Glitter, they play cautious, especially here in Vikendi. It always ends up backfiring for them.
Oh, yeah. And I think we actually just saw there for a little while with SWAT 69, while they were in the building, they were able to dish out a lot of damage. They were being very, very aggressive from the angle that they have, putting damage out onto Wildcard and any other team that was in the area with them, which I loved seeing out of SWAT 69, because this is what I was talking about. They started taking those riskier engagements yesterday when they were going up against some of the top teams in the lobby, and they have continued to do that today. And not only is it paying off in damage, but we saw in the overall standings, it's paying off for them in points. So as long as they continue doing this, they'll at least be so much closer to closing that gap on UDR killers, and then all they have to do is requalify into our final Super Weekend from there.
I mean, you're talking about damage. Why don't we just see the overall damage from that last match and see where they ranked up against everyone else within the lobby. I'm assuming we're going to see some big numbers coming out of Cloud9 right off the bat. And you can see there, they get themselves the second place on damage as Footballers get themselves 1,900 damage, but only 7 kills at the same rate. Look at Tempo Storm 7, 1,600 damage, only 4 kills.
Yep, and remember, 1,600 damage, 800 of those to HH24, and I'm pretty sure they've been getting a lot of damage here today. So I think they're going to be a team to go ahead and look out for. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they end up getting a win today, as we're now looking here at the top teams. And Dream Eaters, I know we don't really get a chance to talk about them that much, but they're just such a consistent team as well. They're usually able to go ahead and end up within like top 5 and also back it up with some kills. Only getting 4 kills there, but that's still impressive for that team. And then other teams that we've been talking about that we haven't really heard of much about was Team Unique, and then Kadena Power with being able to go ahead and output their 1,000 damage. It seems for me Kadena Power, Glitter, has finally improved in their fragging potential, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the future maybe we go ahead and see something insane out of them.
Yeah, definitely excited to see what they have for the rest of the day. But even looking at the rest, that second half, we saw SWAT 69 and Yala Esports both at or above that 1K damage mark. So like I said, SWAT 69 is definitely getting more aggressive. They're starting to convert on more of those kills. I just hope they continue to do so in the rest of our matches here. Yeah,
they're definitely going to need it. I think they got, 6 points from that last match. And, well, speaking of points, how did we do in points in our prediction game? And you can see, well, 7, not faring too well for you there with your Loops Esports, but Glitter getting a good solid 9 on the board with Kadena Power and Envirum. I mean, you went with Cloud9 at the right time, gets himself the chicken dinner and 32 points to add to his name. And, of course, me in the middle, around 17. I think this actually might have closed the gap between us, 7. I think I might have passed you.
Ooh.
I think maybe. Yeah, I think you might have
be
passed
voting
me.
for
And
Dave
Cameron
now.
Davis always jinx my pick, man. Every single time Cameron Davis and myself pick together, that man always jinx my pick.
Well, you know what? Just don't pick what he picks then. Or don't let him pick what you pick.
I'll think about it next time.
I don't know. Maybe that's
All right,
the plan going forward. Let's take a look now at our overall standings from the teams now as we are, 5 days deep, almost 6 days into our super weekends. We have Cloud9. Well, they've reclaimed their glory back into first place with a 20-point lead up against Loop 7.
That's right, and it's something that we kind of expected them to go back and forth here going into the super weekends. And I even mentioned I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see some of this stuff out of them in league finals. As we see some of the other teams, guess what? Pittsburgh Knights, with the performances they have had before, they have allowed themselves some cushion by maintaining that 4th place, even after having back-to-back none of the best performances. And Wildcard, after getting that 7 kills, 21 points, 2nd place in the last game, they're going to go ahead and shoot themselves out to 5th place. So really enjoying that. One of the other teams that I'm going to be looking at, I know a lot of us are going to be looking at going into the next match, is going to be B4 Esports. They've been kind of quiet today. They really haven't done anything in regards to the leaderboard, so I'm going to be seeing how they react going into Miramar later.
Yeah, and kind of following up on B4 as well, they're still one of the top 8 teams that does not have that chicken dinner on the board. So I'm really looking to see if they can pull one of those down for themselves here today. And then moving on to the second page, we see all of these teams not shifting at all in the rankings, period. So things are starting to kind of settle here, getting into the second half of the final day of our super weekend. And it's kind of interesting to see where some of these teams are falling and then what they will change in moving forward.
You know, it's also cool to see, if you looked at the difference between second place, which is Loops, and third place, which is Football, is there's 56 points separating the two. That's a lot of points. That's more than SWAT 69 has after 12 matches played. Like, that's a massive gap between second and third place. I mean, I just have to use them because they're on the board. But that's a massive difference between their second and third place, and that really does worry me for the teams maybe trying to get themselves into the top 2 if they can't really hinder the progress out of Loops and out of Cloud9. And again, like we mentioned before, there is a new Royale Pass Season 14 out there in the game. If you guys haven't checked it out, we're going to show it to you another time of what yet. Of the second Super Weekend. Let's get the schedule on the screen ground, considering the points can be shifted up. And we still haven't yet to how our predictions going to go. Are they going to stay consistent today?
I love
Or picked by you, Glitter? What's your choice?
Pick the and the day before.